Hey.
You know, when we tell you that TV47
Hey.
is the fastest growing TV station,
The home of winners, I'm telling you.
this is the only place you should be watching.
Hey.
Huh? We know what we're talking about.
Oh, yes.
And I tell you, yes, it's been quite a weekend.
I'm telling you.
This one is for George Kinyanjui, winner governance reporting broadcast television. How about that?
This one is for Elizabeth Ochieng, winner health and medical reporting broadcast television TV47.
And then the big one.
And because we are the biggest.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
Angalia maneno.
Angalio maneno. Karibishi hapo.
Angalia maneno.
Kwanza hata ni mzito by the way. We need to.
Elizabeth Ochieng, journalist of the year,
Oh, yes.
broadcast television, 2024. Soma hapo chini, TV47. How about
Oh, yes.
I tell you.
Overall best journalist right here at TV47.
Oh, yes. And this is exactly where you should be. This is exactly where you are. Karibu sana. This is the Morning Cafe. My name is Freddie Ndimuli. To kickstart not just your day, but your week. How hot is a coffee where you are? Karibu sana.
And I'm used to Stanley Ringita. It is a marvelous Monday morning, ready to kickstart your day, telling you about matters health, about your dental care. Kwanza maneno ya watoto. Oh yes, what you need to know, it has been a whole long holiday, eating all the sweets and all the junk. But what you need to know about all that. We'll also be getting into the first aid, telling you in case a fire erupts kwa nyumba tu pale, what you need to know on that as well. Oh, yes.
Watoto bado wako nyumbani hawajafungua shule.
Oh yes.
A quick look at the headlines this morning. Oh yes, and those are the dailies today.
The whole collage of it.
Hiyo yote.
Yeah.
So yes, on the front page of the Standard, Cabinet of Blunders, and we have an image there of some of the cabinet secretaries who have been questioned for one thing or the other. Cabinet of Blunders, cabinet secretaries in President William Ruto's administrations are under fire. Those are just some of the faces. That's a big headline of the Standard.
On to the next paper. Should be Daily Nation. States plan to recover lost quote-unquote school days. They were to open today, but again, the president postponed that. We'll be telling you more about that later on.
Next paper, Raila wa mapambano amerudi. Yes, this is the biggest discussion. Raila wa mapambano amerudi. Kenya Kwanza amtaka anyamaze ili asaidiwe AUC, lakini Kalonzo amtaka Odinga aikosoe serikali kila inapokosea. Habari kuu kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa Taifa Leo. Gazeti lingine,
People Daily, new hurdle for Raila on AU seat. The same story is going to be one of the biggest conversations even for this week.
on the Star, MPs demand 1 billion shillings chamber upgrade budget. They just launched the Bunge Tower last week. Now they want an upgrade of the Bunge chambers. Interesting. We'll be looking at that later on.
On to Business Daily. Banks face fresh heat from parastatals idle cash ban. Think about Treasury set to roll out the whole hybrid single account.
All right. Across the border, kule Bongo, tuvuke border, Tanzania's rising economic powerhouse charge ahead, matters business. Dar es Salaam having continuously retained its status as Tanzania's biggest and most important economic hub. Attention is increasingly turning to regions that have posted impressive growth in recent years. This is very local to Tanzania. But yes, some sections, even places like Arusha, which are much closer to Kenya, are really growing fast.
Still in Tanzania, kwenye gazeti la Mwananchi, masuala ya siasa pale, kijana alivyo kinana alivyozijibu hoja 4 za Chadema, masuala ya CCM pale, Chama cha Mapinduzi, lakini kwingineko sababu Hidaya kukosa nguvu.
Yes, wacha ile unaambiwa hapa Kenya, you're not even sure what will happen. But Hidaya, so Tanzanians were the ones expecting it, so they know exactly what happened to it.
Oh, yes.
Wataalamu waeleza mambo yaliyokikata makali. Wanasema it lost power. Lakini kule kwa Kiswahili wanasema ilikikata makali.
Oh yes. And Fred, I was tracking it on my screen here, just seeing how it was operating. Just taking a look at, you know, how it is as of today, as of right now, and you can see when you take a look at let me take you back to some days. Oh yes. So this was about early yesterday morning, and how things are looking like on the same. And then now getting into the day, it actually, now late into the day, it actually started to die down. Then this is at now today midnight, and then now getting into as at now. really, really died down.
Still cloudy, but okay, fine. At least
Yes.
the cyclone is gone. You can see there's no eye anywhere.
Oh, yes.
So the storm is has really died down.
So that's how the Hidaya cyclone is looking like as of right now. That is in Tanzania.
Okay, let's take a look at what's happening in Uganda this morning. Uganda on alert as floods hit EAC. And this, I don't know if this is really accurate, because if East Africa has been experiencing floods for the past 2-3 weeks or so.
Uganda hasn't been reporting about it.
Yes, and it's interesting because we share a lot, especially with the weather patterns. Uganda on high alert as floods hit EAC.
And interestingly now, they're saying experts predict the more rain, but then Entebbe residents have started vacating Lake Victoria shoreline.
Because it has already started swelling.
Yeah.
You saw what's happening in Kisumu and other areas, so the shores have already, the water has already broken beyond the shores, so it will swell into areas of Entebbe, which is right next to the lake as well. Another very interesting story here on the bottom of, just go back to the New Vision, and Museveni has given someone 100 cows.
Chabazinga.
Just like that.
Yes. Is it Kiabao? I think for them it's Kiabao Chaba.
I think this is part of the royal family.
Oh, yes.
And you just been given 100 cows. I think he was getting married or something like that.
I told you on the 9th of this, it's on Friday, the census counting.
Oh, yes.
In Uganda. Oh, yes.
Let's take a look at the Daily Monitor. Government staff have 12 months to resign for 2026 polls. Oh, yeah, elections coming up next year, in 2 years' time.
Next year, but one.
Yes,
Yeah.
2026. And so, yes, a year before the elections, they will have to resign. That's a big headline on the front page of the Daily Monitor. The other story, only buses, trucks won't pay fee on Para routes. Matters infrastructure and toll fees making headlines in Uganda today.
From, we do have the East African, by the way. Brace for hunger. Due to the whole torrential rains that have killed about 500 people in East Africa and destroyed infrastructure that will take billions to repair, experts further predict food shortages blamed on destruction of farmland in the bread baskets. And that is a section of a damaged Mai Mahiu and Naivasha road. Remember last week on Monday, we were having that phone call with Willie Dennis Njiro. At such a point, it's 1 week later, by the way, all this.
We should go back there probably and check out what the situation is like. Have they reopened the road fully? And but this is a very scary headline on the front page of the East African. Brace for hunger. After too much water, now there'll be very little water. A lot of farms have already been destroyed, and that will have some effects. All right, those are the quick headlines. Let's take a look at the traffic situation in Nairobi this morning, and allow me to cross over to the other side. Yes, this is how the traffic looks like in Nairobi, and we've tried to go as far back as because
some parts of
Thika Road. Yes, and Thika Road here. Your fingers. Thika Road, sections of Juja, because we've had a lot of reports about a lot of rain overnight in Juja, and you can already see there are sections of that road, Thika Road along Juja, Kalimoni, Juja, Ecomat Supermarket around that area. You can see bits and pieces of red, meaning there is, I'm not so sure if it has anything to do with the flood situation, but yes, there's been a lot of rain reported in Juja overnight, so it could be part of the problem. But after that, coming down past Kenyatta Road, all the way past Ruiru.
And then when you get to somewhere in Kimbo, there's also a whole red line somewhere there.
Yes, this one has a lot to do with matatus around here. Yes, but after that, once you get closer to China Square, there's a section there, but it's quite short. Before you get to KU, because I think the worry is around Kenyatta University and Kahawa area, which have been experiencing floods. But nothing there today. This morning, nothing much around Kenyatta University. Everything that you can worry about is before that section. After that, Githurai, a bit of a slowdown, especially on the underpass and probably the service lanes as well. But after that, everything else is smooth all the way into town, past Kasarani, past the Garden City Mall, all the way, and nothing to worry about, even past KCA University. Yes, but once you get closer, this is the Utali Drift. Once you get closer towards Pangani interchange, there's a bit of a slowdown there, right next to the Mathari Mental Hospital. It is quite early to have this kind of slowdown.
Yeah.
Yes, it's usually around this area, but you can see something is already happening there. Meaning that probably if you're coming from Thika Road, do expect a bit of a slowdown once you get to Pangani. And yes, even leaving the Pangani interchange, a bit of a slowdown both into Forest Road and Muranga Road. So yes, Thika Road this today looking a bit slow. Let's cross over to the other side of town and take a look at Langata Road. Langata Road is looking good,
oh, yes.
all the way from the Galleria Mall down towards the Southern Bypass, nothing to report about. Yes, of course, a bit of concern around the T-Mall roundabout area. This area has always been a bit problematic. But we hope something will be. It's not really anything to worry about. Bagathi Way looking good so far. A bit of a slowdown as you head out of town towards T-Mall. Ngong Road. Let's take a look at Ngong Road as far back as Karen. And
it looks clear.
Looks clear all the way past Junction Mall, plus Prestige Plaza. Nothing to worry about, even up to the City Mortuary roundabout. And let's take a look at Mombasa Road. Wow. You can see a bit of red. Where exactly is this? Just before Cabanas. After Gateway, it is smooth, but once you get closer to Cabanas, there's a bit of a stretch there. This section is red. And this is after the entrance into the airport. You can see a section that is red here before you get to the Cabanas interchange. So it means there was a bit of a slowdown there. This is not on the expressway. It's actually down on the service lane or the other Mombasa Road itself. You're talking about the weekend?
Oh, yes. And over the weekend, there's a whole flooding around some parts of that area.
Yes.
The Cabanas area.
Probably. But after that, past Imara Daima, something, nothing much to worry about. Around Panari Hotel, the main Mombasa Road, a bit of a slowdown there on the main Mombasa Road. But after that into town, it's all smooth, even past Nyayo Stadium interchange. Let's take a look at Waiyaki Way, which is the other tributary into town. And let's go as far back as probably Kino. And yes, all the way from Kikuyu Gitaru, nothing to report about. Past Kino, past Kangemi ABC Place, all the way into town, it's looking good. So nothing much there. And finally, Jogoo Road. As always, Jogoo Road is usually a bit slow, especially once you get to Makadara. It's the same today. A section there that is red at Makadara. The rest of the road is yellow. But another piece of red once you get to the City Stadium roundabout. And then Landis Road into town, a bit slow this morning. So that's the traffic situation into town as we kick off this Monday.
14 minutes past the top of the hour. Let's take a look at how the weather is looking like. And this is going to be for today until 9 a.m. So the whole focus from yesterday 9 a.m. until today, they expect some average to heavy rainfall for today, but then not as much for today until 9 a.m. Be warned. But then, according to this, according to Google, they say weather in Nairobi, they say 16 degrees Celsius as at right now. Precipitation of 20% at the moment, but here's a key thing. So we checked out until 9 a.m. It will be cloudy until 18 degrees of the same. But then getting into midday all the way to the evening, do expect thunderstorms. Precipitation as high as 50%. So that means that is quite heavy rainfall for today. So do expect between midday to around in the evening, depending on where you are in Nairobi and its metropolitan regions. Let me take you back to see how other counties might be looking like for today. So that is for, let's take a look at Kiambu. Above average and heavy rainfall to be experienced today. Parts of Juja, you're talking about millimeters of 70 on the same, and parts of Ruiro as well. Parts of Thika Town will be experiencing 20 millimeters, and also Githunguri will be experiencing as high as between 60 to 70 millimeters on the same. That is how the weather pattern is going to be looking like for today in Kiambu. And finally, let's take a look at how things are going to be. So that's Kiambu. In Muranga as well, well, it's the same Kigumo as well, it's between 60 to 80 millimeters. Oh yes, and then that will actually get into 100 millimeters. But then a whole pattern that we've seen.
Some part of Kandara.
Okay.
Kigumo, yeah.
Yes. But then I think we've seen, comparing to last week, that today we're not really seeing millimeters as high as 100.
Yeah, really, the rains have really eased off. Probably they will continue easing off.
And finally, getting into Kajiado, well, it's the same. The above, sorry for that. There's Kajiado, and particularly, just take a look at now Kajiado North, parts of Tengela, so bits and pieces would be getting 70 to 80 bits, and some of those places are getting there. But majority of Kajiado County will be getting as high as 20.
Moderate rainfall.
Yeah,
20,
moderate.
20 millimeters.
Yes. And finally, Machakos County. Now remember, this is until today, 9 a.m. The Met Department will be giving a better outlook on the same. So Machakos really is going to have quite the rainfall for today. Parts of Syokimau into Mavoko there, as high as 80 to 100 millimeters, quite heavy rainfall for today. Parts of Matungulu as well, but then other parts, well above average rainfall really, between 20 to around 40 on the same. And that is the weather for you. Let's get into the diary as well as today in history now. This particular morning on the first page, we get into take a look at what to expect. And Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja will be appearing before the Senate Public Accounts Committee. And on the next page, do expect for today the whole Kenya-Somalia collaboration and Prime Cabinet Secretary, that is Musalia Mudavadi, alongside his Somalia counterpart Hamza Abdi Bare, will today be co-chairing the ministerial sessions during the last day of the Kenya-Somalia Joint Commission for the whole cooperation. So these discussions will basically focus on areas on enhancing cooperation in trade, infrastructure, security, as well as agriculture, tourism, health, education, and the blue economy. On to the next page, we take a look at what to expect on our diary for today. The first June Madaraka Day preps will be beginning today, and the Kenya Defence Forces will commence these parade formations in preparations for the Madaraka Day on the 1st of June. Which will be a Saturday, and also my birthday. Oh, for real? And they'll be happening in Bungoma. And according to Interior Principal Secretary Raymond Omolo, the military will operate from the Nzoia Sugar Company premises on the same. And finally, on the last page, so this was to actually happen today, but then, according to Kilifi Governor Gideon Mungaro, so he had last week threatened to haul the 2 containers that are preserving about 429 Shakahola bodies to Nairobi today for the national government to preserve them. But then the governor yesterday took a whole turnaround on that decision and said, well, they're going to preserve them in Kilifi. But then we were to expect that as well. That and much more to stick around right here. TV47 will be taking a look at that on the same. And finally, on Today in History, we take you back to 2009 in South Africa, particularly, where former South African President Jacob Zuma was on a day like today elected the country's 4th president since the fall of apartheid. And that now cues us to the papers.
Okay, and the director said today we're starting with a different paper, which is The Star. MPs demand 1 billion shilling chamber upgrade budget. Very interesting headline here. Bunge Tower, recently opened by President William Ruto, has been dogged by controversy, including delayed construction, but now the MPs are demanding for a 1 billion shilling chamber upgrade budget. Whether they want it included in the next budget, I am not so sure. But it's this kind of expenditure that Kenyans are worried about, that you could find ways, including Parliament. Your parliamentarian is more focused on his luxury at a time when Kenyans are going through a lot of hardship. Still on the front page of the Star, a photo there of the flooding situation. Floods havoc, death toll rises, hospitals submerged. And I think this is a section of the Ahero, the Nyando River in Ahero town, the Nyando Bridge, yes. And yes, it was submerged by floods. And some of the schools like Ahero Girls were not accessible. I need to understand that it is now passable. But yes, the town is still flooded. That's the Star this morning. Other highlights including General Kahariri's visit to Maimahiu as death toll from that tragedy hits 58, and you can see the CDF being aided there by other military officers. That's the front page of the Standard today.
Right. Let's cross over to People Daily. We talk about new hurdle for Raila on AU seat, and as Azimio leader faces challenge after a section of African Muslim bloc backs Somalia candidate for African Union Commission chair. That is on page 7 on the same. But other highlights are focused on at the very top, rather not the medium, how police fake papers to frame suspects. That's quite chilling. It is on page 8 on the same. See if I can get more details on that on our e-paper. But meanwhile, the flood death toll hits 228 people as coastals cross fingers of a cyclone. More coverage is on page 4, 5, and 6 on that as well. On the very left, 66 teachers die by suicide due to mental sickness. They say union warns that depression among tutors could compromise quality of education in schools. I want to take you back to the whole story on page 8, just for more context on that. How police fixed suspects using framed up proof. As they say, a former officer accused of rape set free after magistrate finds no evidence linking him apart from jilted lover agony. On that. Wow. That is the People Daily for you. On the Business Daily, and I do have a hard copy of the same. Banks face fresh heat from parastatals idle cash ban. Kenya's parastatals have been banned from holding idle cash in bank accounts under a new public finance reform plan seeking to enhance transparency and efficiency in the use of public resources, and this one will definitely hurt a lot of banks. And they have a graph there of just how much bank balances some of these parastatals have, including Kera, Kengen, KPLC, which are holding upwards of 27 billion shillings in bank accounts. And now, according to the government, they want everything centralized for better management. That's a big headline on the front page of the Business Daily. The other story given prominence on the front page, half of businesses snap transactions on KRA's eTIMS platform, and means the taxman's new found method of recording or collecting revenue has hit a snag. More than half of businesses on the KRA's electronic tax invoice management systems, otherwise known as eTIMS, are not transacting on the platform, underlining the government's headache in its efforts to expand the tax base. More highlights on the ticker. State 6 MPs nod on 10.6 billion shilling floods emergency response. Yes, most people are calling for this, and probably a declaration of a national disaster to enable these things to happen. Khan General fights new 468 million tax bills. Kenyan farm picked for Google AI cohort. And lastly, borrowing cut to help CBK lower rates. Treasury is cutting its expected net borrowing for the current fiscal year by 67.5 billion, a move expected to boost efforts by the central bank to bring down interest rates. That would be something good if it actually happens. That's the front page of the Business Daily. Kwenye gazeti la Taifa leo, taarifa ambayo tulikuwa tumeangazia awali, Raila wa mapambano amerudi. Mabadiliko haya awali, ukuruba wake na Rais William Ruto wanaposaka wadhifa wa AUC ulionekana kumfunga kinywa, lakini masaibu ya Wakenya kutokana na ufisadi na mafuriko amemfanya Raila Odinga kulipuka ghafla na kuishambulia serikali. Wanauliza pale kunani?
Swali kunani?
Swali pale, na kusema pia Kenya Kwanza yamtaka nyamaze ili asaidiwe AUC, lakini Kalonzo amtaka Odinga aikosoe serikali kila inapokosea. Vidokezo vingine pale chini, koti yaidhinisha kesi za kupinga mradi wa nyumba. Sema kuwa jaji mkuu atakiwa kuteua jopo la majaji 7 kufikia tarehe 16 mwezi huu wa Mei ili kuanza kusikiliza kisha kuamua kesi hizo 6. Kwingineko pia ni Uingereza yatua fedha kusaidia Wakenya. Taifa hilo kupitia kwa shirika la UNICEF litawafaa waathiriwa wa mafuriko kwa chakula na dawa kambini. Bado masuala ya mafuriko pale mto Nyando wakata barabara kuu ya Nairobi kuelekea Kisumu, na mto huo ulivunja kingo zake na kufanya mji wa Ahero kufurika na kulemaza usafiri kwenye barabara hiyo yenye shughuli nyingi. Mwishowe pale juu sema kuwa serikali kurefusha mihula ya pili 3. Hatua hii itafidia muda unaopotea sasa hivi kutokana na mafuriko. Kwenye masuala ya michezo, Man City wahemesha Arsenal EPL. Baada ya ushindi wa wikendi, sasa mwanya kati yao ni alama 1 tu.
Okay.
Bado mna matumaini?
Tuko gangari. Sema ngoja, usio na haraka, ngoja hapo. Hata Inondo namwambia ngoja.
Ngoja lakini umiza matumbo.
All right, a quick look at the Daily Nation because of time. We're running out of time. States plan to recover lost school days, and that's a plan of how these days that schools have remained closed will be recouped. Calendar changes. The government will extend second term and third term due to the indefinite postponement of the reopening of schools because of the ongoing floods, which have left more than 200 people dead. National exams, which are scheduled to start in November, will, however, not be affected by the reorganization of the school calendar. This is according to the CS Machogu. And yes, state seeking MPs not to spend 10.6 billion shillings on floods crisis, also featuring on the front page of the Daily Nation. Kalonzo, Kenya Kwanza using AU carrot to gagas, and that's the biggest political story on the front page of the Daily Nation. What's there on the Standard?
Can take a look at it.
Okay, on the Standard, Cabinet of Blunders is a big headline on the front page. And we have cabinet secretaries in President William Ruto's administrations who are under fire from the opposition, parliament and citizens over the manner in which they have handled their dockets in the last 18 months. One of them is Mithika Linturi, of whose motion on his removal was actually passed by Parliament last week on Thursday, and a committee set up to investigate the matter. Other CSs there on the front page: Susan Nahumich of Health, Kipchumba Murkomen, Roads and Transport, Ezekiel Machogi of Education, and Moses Kuri of Public Service among the list.
As well as Energy CS David Churchill.
Oh yes, who has been very quiet in recent months. The other story given prominence on the front page of the Standard: Tunnel of Death, and this is what happened in Maimahiu. Top officials knew looming danger but did nothing. Known for its serene hot springs, caves, wildlife and lush landscapes, Maimahiu attracts tourists year-round. However, beneath this picturesque facade lie a chilling tale of neglect and tragedy. And a very interesting story on jinxed candidates. KCPE class of 2020, which was during the COVID pandemic, the class of 2020, is same class that is now facing a setback as they sit for their Form 4 exams.
I believe also they were born during the 2007-2008 post-election value.
They're asking if these are jinxed candidates. Yeah. Okay. All right, that's the Standard today. Arsenal left praying for Man City as Man City continue to fly is a big headline on the back page. But a quick look at the cartoons before we take a break. And the Standard doesn't have a cartoon today. They instead have a picture of 2 men fighting over a spanner. These are drunken mechanics fighting over a lost spanner at Olkalau town. That's the image that they've used in the space where usually we have the cartoon.
On page 12, yes.
On the Daily Nation, the cartoon comes on page
13, just showing matters how the different kind of rains. The first one is a fake fertilizer rains, and there's a fake papers rains, as well as fake assurance and the commentator is saying heavily raining fake.
They should have added another column of the real rain, which is affecting Kenyans. Do we have any other cartoon? That's the People Daily.
And finally, on the People Daily, Stanu's take, the government addressing the media while holding a very small umbrella, and the government asking, what cyclone? As you can see, I am well prepared. And just behind him, there's a huge tide coming just behind him. Those are the cartoons for you this morning.
And yes, we'll be looking at these and other stories with our panel, power panel this Monday. Yes, Samuel Pogisio, former ICT Cabinet Minister, will be in studio alongside Honorable Dr. Mombing Garu, former MP, East Africa Legislative Assembly, as well as Kipruto Rapkirwa, making a comeback to the State of the Nation power panel this Monday as a former Cabinet Minister for Agriculture. Do stand by for that conversation. Time now for a break. We'll be back with more.
Na safari hii katika Mfahamu Kiongozi tutakuletea viongozi aina mbalimbali.
Nikuwe na Nisani kama 10 na pia nikuwe menua minibus. Minibus niko niwa.
Kushinda unaangalia simu ya mzee, soma Biblia ama ingia kwa washroom ujisugue mpaka nimetoa hivi.
I don't know whether any of my children would want to get into the political field. Sijajua bado.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30 kuendelea.
Join us on a journey through the concrete jungles and rising skylines, where every beam, every nail tells a story of progress and vision.
In every aspect of life, you know, you have to look at several dynamics.
From groundbreaking,
Nowadays with the tech, you can check on different websites or you check online and you can see some inspiration. So at least that one would be a direction already. I'll know like what kind of style you're going for.
to finishing touches, witness the dedication of the hard-working teams who bring these ambitious dreams to reality. The Realtor, Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m.
Na safari hii katika Mfahamu Kiongozi tutakuletea viongozi aina mbalimbali.
Nikuwe na Nisani kama 10 na pia nikuwe menua minibus. Minibus niko niwa.
Kushinda unaangalia simu ya mzee, soma Biblia ama ingia kwa washroom ujisugue mpaka nimetoa hivi.
I don't know whether any of my children would want to get into the political field. Sijajua bado.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30 kuendelea.
Join us on a journey through the concrete jungles and rising skylines, where every beam, every nail tells a story of progress and vision.
In every aspect of life, you know, you have to look at several dynamics.
From groundbreaking
Nowadays with the tech, you can check on different websites or you check online and you can see some inspiration. So at least that one would be a direction already. I'll know like what kind of style you're going for.
to finishing touches, witness the dedication of the hard-working teams who bring these ambitious dreams to reality. The Realtor, Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m.
Na safari hii katika Mfahamu Kiongozi tutakuletea viongozi aina mbalimbali.
Nikuwe na nisani kama 10 na pia nikuwe menua minibus. Minibus nikoniwa.
Kushinda unaangalia simu ya mzee, soma Biblia ama ingia kwa washroom ujisugue mpaka nimetoa hii.
I don't know whether any of my children would want to get into the political field. Sijajua bado.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30 kuendelea.
Join us on a journey through the concrete jungles and rising skylines, where every beam, every nail tells a story of progress and vision.
In every aspect of life, you know, you have to look at several dynamics.
From groundbreaking
Nowadays with the tech, you can check on different websites or you check online and you can see some inspiration. So at least that one would be a direction already. I'll know like what kind of style you're going for.
to finishing touches, witness the dedication of the hard-working teams who bring these ambitious dreams to reality. The Realtor, Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m.
Na safari hii katika Mfahamu Kiongozi tutakuletea viongozi aina mbalimbali.
Nikuwe na nisani kama 10 na pia nikuwe menua minibus. Minibus nikoniwa.
Kushinda unaangalia simu ya mzee, soma Biblia ama ingia kwa washroom ujisugue mpaka nimetoa hii.
I don't know whether any of my children would want to get into the political field. Sijajua bado.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30 kuendelea.
Welcome back. Time now for us to take a look at the state of the nation. This is Morning Cafe on TV47, and I'm in studio with the Honorable Dr. Mumbingaru, former MP, East Africa Legislative Assembly. It's good to have you in studio this Monday. I probably become a doctor. Kipruto Rapkirwa, former Agriculture Cabinet Minister, who was not with us last Monday. It's good to have you back on the panel. Karibu sana.
Yeah, it's always my pleasure. Yes. And greetings from Trans Nzoia.
Asante sana.
Yeah, they have planted plenty of maize, but it's yet to pick shape.
But at least there's a rain now.
There is rain.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a bit more because you know at times when there is too much, the maize takes a bit of time to pick.
Okay.
So in the next 2 weeks, perhaps the rain will subside, and that lush green of Trans Nzoia shall come back to life.
Okay. Also with us this morning, Samuel Pogisio, former ICT Cabinet Minister. Karibu sana, Bwana Pogisio. Now, Very interesting headlines for this Monday. Cabinet blunders on the standard. State plan to recover lost school days on the Daily Nation. I mentioned there of Kalonzo saying that Kenya Kwanza using AU carrot to gag us. There on the front page of the Daily Nation. Other headlines including on Taifa Leo, Raila wa mapambano amerudi. Habari kamili pale, habari kuu kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa Taifa Leo. New hurdle for Raila on AU seat on the People Daily, and on the Star, MPs demand 1 billion shilling chamber upgrade budget. Of course, let's start off with the current flooding situation, which continues across the country. And on the front page of the Standard, we have an image there of the flooded Nyando River that has really affected Ahero town. Now, last Friday, the Ministry of Health issued a warning of a possible, they sounded the alarm about the looming threat of a cholera outbreak, given the flooding situation across the country and the demolition of many sanitation facilities, including pit latrines and sewer lines. And this could affect not just the people who have been displaced, but also any other person who uses piped water across the country. So it is a bigger problem that we're looking at. And the issue now is whether or not the government is prepared to handle that. We can see them already struggling with just the relocation and handling the direct effects of flooding. At a time especially when the doctors are on strike and most healthcare workers are not in hospitals, any disease outbreak could be catastrophic, Dr. Ngaru.
Fred, good morning. Let me take this opportunity to wish our colleague, Fred Kisia, a quick recovery. We cannot fill his gap, okay. So we will fill it. And then also take this opportunity to condole with the very, very, very many families that have been affected by the floods, lost lives, lost property, displaced in many ways. One of the peculiar, if I can call it peculiar, scenario that is emerging. The floods used to affect downtown, going towards the areas that are occupied by our people. But strange enough, last Friday or Saturday, you could see the Warwick Plaza just near the UN embassy, the US, the UN complex is also submerged.
Areas of Runda.
Runda is submerged, and many other call them high ed areas. And that, for me, is something I have noted. I don't have an answer. I'm not speculating, but it's also something that we should learn. Then, of course, the rest of the country, we have had areas that nobody really thought would be affected. A landslide there, the tea plantations in Muranga coming down. But now, even in Mount Town, in Thika, there's proposed to be a city within the next 2-3 years. We have areas right in the CBD that are flooded. The College of medical training college, a part of the level 5 hospital is submerged. So we have had floods, we have had El Nino. A curious turn about the the preparedness and whether we are ready or not, and the cholera issue, I really don't have to be medical to know that that is coming. You have pit latrines that are in school complexes, primary schools, secondary colleges, and now they are full and flowing.
Some have been completely destroyed. And
yes. That is, I don't need to be a medical person. But then the concern is it's coming at a time when the government has not even sorted out the doctors' issue. That could be catastrophic. We do bottled water. Yeah, my colleagues here and others, we have water dispensers, and we bottle our water. And I think it is sending a message to all of us. My friends here are my age mates, so I can remind them what we used to do during our time. That you'd go to the river, scoop water, and drink like a cow.
It's unheard of right now in this day.
You wouldn't do it now. We have those bottled waters and dispensers and the like. But what is coming after this may also not send a very good message to the bottled water and water in dispensers and the kind. So it is not just what we need to discuss. For me, from where I sit, it is deeper than we would deal with.
And from a government perspective, Bona Kirwa, when the president addressed the nation last Friday, people expected a declaration of a national disaster. And I want to understand from that perspective, what would such a declaration mean? He did not declare a national disaster. But what would a declaration of a national disaster by the president mean for a government response to such problems that we're facing?
Well, apart from mobilizing the resources within government, it will assist, even mobilize resources outside, and also tell the rest of the world that here we have a problem in Kenya. And that problem needs just not the hands of the government, but also the hands of each and every person. This therefore would have actually broadened the awareness of the issue. It reminds me, in 1961, a similar case did happen. That's about 63 years ago. We were under colonial government. But the level of mobilization was so huge that even the military was involved. And in terms of food distribution, in terms of reaching areas where it was not easy to reach by normal motorized vehicles, by planes taking food to various parts of this country. And the reportage then, because I've been able to access some of the clips, was very interesting. They were telling almost on minute-to-minute basis that we are in this particular area, this is the situation, this is what we're doing, and we've been able to achieve so much. But the way we see it now is that we wait until fatalities are big for us to report about Mai Mahiu or any other place for that matter. I would have expected the president almost to mobilize each and every person, and there should have been a disaster management center which will be coordinating all these activities with various counties. And in each county there should be a unit of disaster management because now the number has gone to 38 counties out of the 47. So essentially almost the entire country is under the threat of floods and increased rainfall. And this means about 2,000 schools have been affected by these floods. And of course, the fatalities have gone beyond 200, and not to mention some of the missing bodies. So I would have expected that to be a higher notch of mobilizing resources and mobilizing awareness and allowing it for everybody to realize that it's not business as usual.
And a declaration of a national disaster would be the first step.
It should have been the first step, because remember, even one time, in my lifetime, I can quickly remember, Mzee Moi declared, I think, HIV/AIDS a national disaster. And of course, there was mobilization almost in every village. Mzee Kibaki declared a drought a national disaster, I remember. He declared in Mombasa. And we mobilized the resources, both in terms of food and also animal feed, because we realized in some of the areas where we were taking maize, farmers prefer to feed their livestock instead of feeding themselves. So we decided now even to purchase hay and take it for livestock consumption, so that by the time we take the maize, people are able to eat. So I think perhaps the president was not fully informed. He should have done it after a cabinet meeting. And you know, cabinet meeting is a clearinghouse.
Just last week, 2 cabinet meetings.
And that should be a clearinghouse for him to benefit from all the brains around the table. Because I don't believe that all those good Kenyans have nothing to offer to the government. It's only that at times I get worried about my brother, that he does not have good capacity to listen to the ministers and other people who offer advice. Because I'm sure you cannot say about 25 Kenyans around the table cannot give a solution to a simple issue like the floods ravaging the country. And finally, on this issue of floods, perhaps it is looking slightly different from the past. We've done a lot of environmental degradation because we've had rains. 98 we had rains, 1961 we had rains, but it never reached the magnitude it has reached this time. You can see this water is like brewed tea all over, which means we still got a lot of work to do with the environmental conservation. We need to improve almost every school, every institution, every space in Kenya. We should plant trees and we grow them. You know, at times we plant and we forget.
Yes, growing trees. Now, the biggest concern now, Bwana Pogisio, is the issue of this warning by the Ministry of Health about a possible outbreak of cholera. And as Dr. Ngaru says, yes, we should anticipate it. The government too should be anticipating it. And without health workers back at work, that is lack of preparedness 100%. Would a declaration of a national disaster help become a catalyst towards getting doctors back to work, probably just in the interim, to help with this crisis that we're facing, and then probably go back to the negotiating table after things have calmed down?
Thank you. First of all, it is absolutely what you call a common sense thing that in situations like this, waterborne diseases generally become the next thing. Because where do you find any clean water for anybody? And then the mix-up of, is like in the areas where they have latrines, all that water goes in and out, everything mixes together. That's already a recipe for disaster. And you know, basically, we are, like Mheshimiwa Kirwa was saying, the water that's coming out, the floods, is water that tells you that soil is being carried everywhere. I mean, degradation is very real. And so a mixture of that plus whatever it is, and we don't know what people are going to do. So cholera is definitely imminent because of the nature of the water that's coming and people's situations right now, or generally just a waterborne disease, and that's very sincere. Now on the issue of the connection between a national disaster declaration and the return of doctors to work, it really just depends on how you deal with those doctors. Because, I mean, people come up and almost insult the doctors. You tell them, you know, to do things that are against the law, and you want them to be your friends and come back to work. I think we must just help these two parties realize that the longer they keep this strike going, the more disastrous it is for our people. And doctors are Kenyans. I'm sure they would like to come back and help. So please deal with these people. Let's deal with the situation as if it's an emergency. After all, it's a discussion about a CBA. It's a discussion about things which have already been agreed.
Is it possible to get to a point where all these discussions actually are halted or paused to attend to a natural disaster and then go back to those discussions? That's what I'm
I know that's what you're saying, but I'm also saying how you deal with these people on one side is what's going to help. They are Kenyans. They would like to come and help, but they also like to hear that interns and things like interns are going to be posted. Doctors are going to be recognized for who they are. But trying to bring out the issue of saying you're just like anybody else, you're just like any other Kenyan, it doesn't help. This is a time for everybody to lower their tones, let them come to a negotiating table properly, and be respectful to each other. And I'm sure that it's going to happen, that these doctors are also feeling the pinch now about helping their people. There is nobody who's going to come. I heard today the threat from the nurses union. They've given the government 2 weeks. They will join the strike if they don't get their matters attended to. So if that happens, we are in for a very serious disaster. And I think the person who is responsible for this, it is either the Minister of Labor or the Minister of Health, whatever it is. Whoever it is must begin to think seriously about dealing with this doctor so that they go back to work. We need our doctors now more than ever. Yeah.
All right, and that you mentioned curiously the kind of statements coming from some of these members of cabinet towards the doctors. Some of those faces are here on the front page of the Standard, and the headline reads, "Cabinet of Blunders." I'm sure you must have been referring to the sentiments made by Moses Kuria, the Minister in charge of Public Service. Susan Nahumicha, CS in charge of Health, also features on the front page of the Standard. She is among the list of about 5 or 6 CSs who are under fire. 6 CSs in Ruto administration on the spot for non-performance. And of course, Susan Nahumicha, heavily criticized for her failure in getting doctors back to work. Moses Kuria, mostly for his public outbursts and statements that have not gone down well with a lot of Kenyans. Now, let's talk about the performance of this cabinet secretaries and some of the blunders. Because now it's blowing up, and we see that motion for the impeachment of Mithika Linturi, the CS for Agriculture, sailing through. Whether or not it will be of consequence, once the committee is done with the probe, we wait and see. But this has been in the public for quite a while. The fact that a number of CSs are publicly failing or making statements which are probably not in good faith or probably aligning properly with what the government would want to communicate. The president has been asked many times to crack the whip. He appears reluctant to do so, and probably is left it to Parliament. Do you think the parliamentary route is the best, and do you think it's going to be consequential with the impeachment of some of these CSs?
The buck stops at the president's door. From where I sit, I look at the scenario and I cannot understand what this deal is between the president and his cabinet. Some of the blunders are just too open, just too big, costing the country millions. And you cannot understand why. Waziri Pogiso has talked about trust deficit. It's there in the open. You don't have to have gone to any university in the world. You go to the streets, and very ordinary Kenyans are talking about it. The president must be having issues that he cannot crack the whip for reasons only known to himself. And when we get to that stage, we cannot blame the advisors, we cannot blame the cabinet. Maybe behind closed doors, they remind him.
We had a deal.
We had a deal. And the best thing is that don't push me this far. I will get out and talk about it. And if you look at the pronunciations of Moses Kuria, it's bordering to that. That he just needs to be pushed a bit and he will spill the beans. So rather than go through that, you will keep quiet because nature will sort itself out.
And by nature you refer to the to Parliament now?
No. Parliament, no. Parliament is already in his pocket. They will do what they are told.
But we saw even members of Parliament from the Kenya Kwanza side voting for this motion.
If the president was serious about it, by now he would have called Mithika Rinturi and asked for his resignation letter. We don't need to go for this select committee or whatever you call it. It would have been a done deal.
But
yeah.
if at all the president is being held captive by some of the deals he made with this cabinet, political deals he made with some of his cabinet secretaries, the parliamentary route would be the best option, because many argue that by allowing Parliament to undertake this process and having even Kenya Kwanza members vote in support of that motion, it means that the president must have allowed it to happen. We've not seen that kind of division in Kenya Kwanza since this Parliament started working.
Yeah, to a large extent, I will agree with you, because knowing my president is a man who wants to be in total control. So perhaps he has allowed Mithika to be sacrificed in the intervening period for purposes of saving other faces. Because for those of us who've been in this ministry, and those of us who have been around town, we know a scandal of that magnitude could not have happened with the express involvement of the minister alone. There are many more faces that are likely to be mentioned, and perhaps Mithika is going to be sacrificed in the intervening period. But my worry is not, in fact, I've said before, I would wish the president doesn't sack Mithika until we get the truth out of this scandal, because it was not just a damage to fertilizer being sold to farmers, it is sabotage to food security. But of course, perhaps the president is also learning from his neighbor in Uganda, where he can give you a letter of appointment and allow the parliamentary process to get rid of you through alleged corruption, so that you do not blame him, you blame the members of parliament.
Do you think that is what is happening in this instance with Mithika Rinturi?
It may happen, but I don't trust the team that has been given the opportunity to deal with him. They can do even a bit of cleansing exercise in that particular stage and report to parliament that they do not find anything substantive against Mithika. Because the operations of the current cabinet, somebody was telling me, is different from the one I served in. But to the extent of my knowledge and rereading the section of the Constitution that talks about the permanent secretary and also talks about principal secretary and CS, the CS is still not directly involved in day-to-day running of the ministry. Because if you are to look at the board of National Cereals and Produce Board, you realize the representative of the Ministry of Agriculture is there on behalf of the PS, and the representative of Treasury is there on behalf of the PS, and also Office of the President is there on behalf of the PS. This therefore means the minister is not really directly involved in issues of procurement. Okay. And the last time I knew, not many ministers can get involved to that level unless the sanctioning is from slightly above his head. Okay. So that he is doing it on behalf of the boss. and you know who the boss of ministers is. Yes. So that's my take, that Mithika is being sacrificed. The only crime he committed is to lie that there is no fake fertilizer. And later on, he was calling it either soil conditioner or he was saying substandard. Fake substandard soil conditioner cannot be in the same sentence unless somebody does not understand basic agricultural principles.
And the CS for Agriculture, Mithika Lenturi, sounded very confident just a day or two before the motion was in Parliament. And he talked about his boss, and he said, I only report to my boss. And my boss is okay, he knows what is happening, so I'm not worried about anything that's going to happen. That's indicative of some level of protection that he feels that he enjoys. So as Bonakirwa says, if at all the CS did anything, his boss must have been aware.
Definitely, and they must be talking every day. And the same fate for all the ministers who are on this list. They seem to enjoy a lot of protection. And when they come out to the public, they want to show the public that there's nothing you can do about the situation. I remember Linturi saying, I'm above that. Nothing will touch me. And once you say that, even after impeachment, and by the way, my friend Linturi is one probably unlucky guy, because even during vetting, the first time he was being vetted, remember he was actually not supposed to be on that list. And somehow he was brought in into the list through the back door. And if I were like that, I would be the most careful. I think I should try and prove to people that actually I should have been on that list. But it's unfortunate for the names which are being here. There are more that we can add to this list, and I don't know why they only picked the 6. There can be more. And for how long will you continue to be put in a place where you show inadequacy, in a place where you show incapacity? And I think people should be the ones asking the president, say, man, give me another ministry. This one, there are probably better people too who can meet this. And they're trying to fit in, they're trying. But as you can see, the place is getting deeper and deeper, wider and wider, and confidence is being lost in terms of communication. One of the things that brings back trust is clear. What you call clarity in your communication. Clarity is so important that, and that's why you can't come and tell people who are in floods, move, and I hear that all the time, move to higher ground, move to higher ground. That communication is not clear. Move where, how? First of all, why, but surely how? The disabled in that community, the blind, whatever it is, the children in that community cannot just be told, move to higher ground. You must physically help people, practically help people find the higher grounds, put them there, feed them, clothe them, let them be warm. This is things that the government should do. And I think so clarity returns trust.
Let me take you back to the issue of the conduct of cabinet secretaries and the kind of confidence they speak of, or they try to show members of the public. And you served in a cabinet alongside one gentleman who famously declared that he would rather die than resign. This kind of arrogance is not new in the cabinet. No. So if at all the members of cabinet are enjoying any kind of protection from the president, this you too enjoyed as a cabinet minister, didn't you?
Yes, and you remember the person who said, I'd rather die, enjoyed much closer camaraderie with the president then. I mean, and so he felt very much covered. But eventually it came to a head. And that's what's going to happen to these people. If the seriousness of governing this country is to be taken to its fullness, the same fate should befall the people who think they're getting protection. And if there is anything that the president owes these guys, or they're owed by them, whatever, to him, maybe you just sort out those debts and save the country, because the people are behaving as though they're saying to his face, Utadu. Yeah.
And allow me to engage Bonakirwa on this. You've been a cabinet minister.
Yes.
What is this feeling people get when you sit on that chair, that you feel so powerful? Kindly explain that to us, because we see a lot of this in some politicians who are not as probably as public in their statements. Now they sound so big and arrogant and powerful.
Well, I don't know, because I don't know whether I reached that level. If I reached, it was without I was not aware.
But you served alongside some colleagues who you feel probably they got there.
Yes, some of them actually. We used to call them with former Minister Peter Njeri Ndwiga, make-believe. Make-believe in the sense that at times they appear to look like they are talking on behalf of the president, and yet the president was dealing with these ministers directly. In fact, President Kibaki is something I credit him a lot with, is that if this is your docket, he would actually want to have the last word from you before he makes any decision about that particular docket. I've explained it before that even positions of chairman, which was really under the president's pen to just appoint whoever he wants, he would tell you, bring 2 names. So I take 2 names or people that I trust, then he picks one of them. You know, that is the level of trust that you could enjoy from the president. But the good thing with Kibaki also is that when you make a mistake and he realizes it's beyond, it has gone to the public domain, he will look the other way around, and the forces of nature will deal with you. So we did not have that exaggerated capacity of make-believe. But yes, these people...
That make-believe, kindly explain further. There's a certain layer or a certain level of cabinet members who feel more powerful than others.
Yeah, some people believe, because you see at times they interact with the president quite a number of times, and they don't know that the president is a different animal. For example, Kibaki were together in the summit, the 8 of us, but the time he became the president, I reminded my colleagues that he had 2 flags, not one, the national flag and the presidential standard. And once he reaches there now, he's a different animal. You have to be careful, because even some of these people, possibly they are driven by arrogance or naivety. Some of them, I suspect, is naivety.
They are yet to experience the power.
They are yet to experience the power of the president. And the president, when he realizes his job on the line, he'll forget them. And he actually may be planning to sack them on the eve of the next election for him to make himself look so good that he's dealing with these people, because he is a no-nonsense man.
And that is the understanding that the president is powerful. He cannot be held captive by any political dealings he may have made pre-election or even post-election. How come he appears a bit tied down in dealing with members of his cabinet?
Fred, there has always been a kitchen cabinet. I do not have...
That even the president is unable to deal with it properly.
I am in an age group that can talk about the first president and his kitchen cabinet then. And I was mature enough during Moi's time to know members of the kitchen cabinet. Even in Kibaki's cabinet, there was a kitchen cabinet. And they did mess him up, truth be told. They did mess him up. During Uhuru's time, there was also a kitchen cabinet. Some of the members of the kitchen cabinet are actually people who are flying the flag, but others are not flying the flag as it is known. But they are an animal that sits around the flag bearers. And I think this is what is happening in the 6 names that are mentioned here. They are cabinet, kitchen cabinet members controlling these dockets via remote control. And this is why...
Who do not necessarily sit.
They don't sit, but they get to the president before the real flag bearers sit. And this is why I'm saying, to some extent, the president is captive to that kitchen cabinet.
Not necessarily to the cabinet secretaries.
Not necessarily to these ones, but there is a force, let's just call it a force. But those forces have got human faces. Probably my colleagues here who've been in the Rio cabinet with flags could tell us or dispute whether that scenario is there. I know, because you know, I work for somebody who moves the country. I've worked for this great Kenyan for quite a number of years, and I know he also has got.
When you say move the country, meaning he has
yeah. Whether he's in government or not in government, whether he's in cabinet or not in cabinet. He was sacked in 2005 after the referendum. His colleague is here. They really ran. They know what they went through. And some of them were saying, I would rather he was in.
Okay.
So,
and the concern is, it is not logical to expect that the president would not make political appointments. Even in the National Rainbow government, most of the appointments were of people who were active during the campaigns. It's the same thing that President Ruto went for, Bonapogisio. Is it the quality that he went for that is failing? Because politicians will be politicians either way.
It's doubtful that there was a measurement of qualities required before these appointments were made. And of course, putting them in the right places is a bit tough for some people. And so when I heard the leader of opposition, Prime Minister Raila, mention these names, and he mentioned it in public, because these are the people, he says, who have failed the country at this particular time. But I mean, like I said, there are more who could be named. But you know, what was considered was not necessarily the person. They considered that it was the forces behind the person, which forces were probably pre-election agreements that you said. Some of these people, like my colleague, and I think Murkomen, was already in the Senate and had to be pulled out of the Senate to be made cabinet secretary. You don't. Some of these people, you don't know where they came from, but they came into leadership, and all we are saying is that once you occupy that position, and you bear that flag, you must be able to adjust to fit in there. You know, but you see now the problem is trying to prove that you're capable, trying to show that you're capable, instead of saying, I need assistance in doing this. I have reached my limit, or I am not even understanding these things. Like the president knows, they don't understand. He tells them in cabinet. He tells them, the president has told these people actually openly, that some of you don't know anything about your own dockets. That he, president, knows more about those dockets, which is obviously true. But now, if you have been told like that, you would definitely work hard. Either you go and put yourself into serious study of this ministry, understanding of things that you want to be done, change your communication. Understand that now you are under the radar. I mean, you are really a leader in this country. And I also find that there is a bit of situation where the people who have been in parliament, okay, those who have been in politics, don't understand that the new cabinet is not the one that they run as members of parliament. Once you have gone there, you have resigned as a member of parliament and must begin to think almost like a public servant or a civil servant, because you're not there courtesy of your being elected. You're there courtesy of being appointed. And it's different from the cabinet that I served.
You are an elected member of parliament.
Even the president was an elected member, for somewhere. And it was very easy to run in that situation. If you can make noise, you can actually do whatever you want to do. Run this cabinet now. if you're a politician, you've been a member of parliament, climb down from the tree and serve the people. Just like the others who have been nominated. Unfortunately for some of them, even those who have never been in parliament, they think they are running a political situation. Some of them begin to have ambitions of politics and run their places like politicians. I've talked about people who are supposed to be running their ministries and they're busy distributing relief foods because they're aiming at something for next time. And they don't go throughout the country. They go to their regions all the time. You know, I mean, that's one of the things that is very clear from this kind of cabinet.
Okay. And I'm looking at another headline on page 6 of the Daily Nation. It talks about Ruto's government, a tower of bubble, amid conflicting messages. Yeah. And the focus is on the education ministry and with this postponement of the opening dates for schools. And now that we're talking about the cabinet and the kind of communication that comes, last week the president chaired 2 cabinet meetings, I think on Tuesday and on Thursday. And after that, he spoke on Friday. After the meeting on Thursday, the CS for Education sent out a circular to schools, giving them the direction on how schools will reopen on Monday. Then President comes on Friday and says something different. And one wonders, are these decisions made at cabinet level, or what exactly is happening? When one CS says this, the President comes and says something else. Bonakiro.
Yeah, you know, the President precedes each of the cabinet members, even his deputy. So whatever pronouncement he makes, the rest of us will have to follow. But what I fear is that there is no effective internal communication. Because if there is effective internal communication, some of the issues could have been cleared. Remember, and I'm sure Majogu will not tell us the truth today until later on when he writes his memoirs. Issuing that thing on Sunday,
the first postponement.
First postponement means he was frustrated over the week. Otherwise, how do you think of something on Sunday, then you issue it, and you know people have already traveled from Kachiliba going to Mangu. You know, how would you expect a parent really to deal with such an issue? So, first of all, I think there is a problem of internal communication. And I thank the former head of public service, Francis Mudaura. Anytime you went to him, he listened to you, he wrote down anything that you wanted to do. If there was something to clear with the president or to clear with other departments of government, he would do it and inform you in good time. It seems that is not happening today.
Yes, there seems to be a disconnect somewhere.
A disconnect somewhere. Because I don't know, anyway, I don't know, because the head of public service is not secretary to the cabinet. Those positions have been carried by the same person over the period.
Could that be part of the problem, that the head of public service does not sit in cabinet?
I do not know. Yeah, the second issue is that President Ruto himself is a micromanager. He would want to manage everything. And that's why ministers, they feel insulated from the wrath of the president. Because if I was a minister in his cabinet and I made the mistakes that Mithika has made, and all these other CSs, I will not have the courage to say nothing will happen to me. Because what Mithika did actually is sabotage to national food security. But then, possibly the discussion between him, the decision may not be his. It may be the decision of the president. And as Mheshimiwa Dr. Mumbi said at the beginning, in any government, there are those who are the faces of the government. But there are those evil forces behind all these deals, including fertilizer importation, distribution, including issues of sugar laced with poison, issues of oil that is not fit for human consumption one afternoon, and the following day is now fit for human consumption, and I don't know where it went. And the sugar disappeared in Thika, not in our stores. We saw sugar in the stores. The following day, there was no sugar. So these are all the things that are done. And collectively, we can say the government of the day is in trouble.
Okay. And probably we are blaming these ministers, these cabinet secretaries, wrongly. If CS can issue a statement right now and then hours later the president says something else, surely he should have been given some time to actually adjust his statement. It means that probably there's a disconnect, as Bonakiro says, between the communication at cabinet level, the presidential level, and the ministry level as well.
is an open secret. And from where I sit, I look at that scenario and actually sympathize with the cabinet members. Though I have not been in a cabinet, I understand how it operates. And when you have a difficult boss, you do not talk to him through the press. They had a very good head of public service. And you get an appointment to discuss a thorny issue, just the two of you, with probably the head of civil service who could be present or not present. And then you are able to tell him, Your Excellency, whatever it is, and express your frustration on how things are being done by the forces behind your ministry. But we have said that this one looks like a one-man show. This is why the CS can do a memo. It is released to the public. Hours later, that memo is made nonsense by the directive of the president. Remember I said there is some deals, there is some agreements, there is some understanding that we are not party to. And the only person who could be able to explain this to us is the president and his cabinet. And members of the cabinet who have got a spine. I will say that without any fear of contradiction, because some of them probably feel they're being pushed to the wall. And a time will come and they will get it out of their chest. This could embarrass the president. And I think with the executive authority that he has, it's time to sit and reorganize. I think it was allowed. It happened during your time serving as cabinet. Remember, during Kibaki's cabinet, it was not just about the papers that one had. We had cabinet ministers who had papers minus papers, if you understand what I'm talking about. If you go back to the media, you'll get somebody reading a statement that was upside down. It's there, telling you that they hadn't really gone to school, the formal school. But they were gifted in other ways of probably cushioning the president, the embarrassments, and talking to him on one-to-one and telling him things are bad outside there. You are being told. Okay. Those people are there. And
they are necessary.
Yeah. In former President Uhuru's cabinet, we had the chasers of this world, minus papers. So I think the president needs some courage and men who can sit with him over, what do you call that milk that you take in your place? Yes, that you tell him, this one, we are getting embarrassed.
All right,
Yeah.
Time for us to take a sip of water, and we come back to continue with this conversation. You're watching State of the Nation. This is the Morning Cafe on TV 47. We'll be back after a short break.
Na safari hii katika Mfahamu Kiongozi tutakuletea viongozi aina mbalimbali.
nikuwe na Nissan kama 10 na pia nikuwe menua minibus. Minibus nikoniwa.
Kushinda unaangalia simu ya mzee. Soma Biblia ama ingia kwa washroom ujisugue. Mpaka nimetoa hivi.
I don't know whether any of my children would want to get into the political field. Sijajua bado.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30 kuendelea.
Join us on a journey through the concrete jungles and rising skylines, where every beam, every nail tells a story of progress and vision.
In every aspect of life, you know, you have to look at several dynamics.
From groundbreaking,
now it is with the tech.
Back, you're still watching Morning Cafe on TV 47 with me, Fred Indemuli. I'm still in studio with the Honorable Dr. Mombing Ngaru, Kipruto Rapkirwa, and Samuel Pugisio. We continue this conversation, and I want us now to move to the other discussion. Away from cabinet and what features on the front page of the Daily Nation on the top strip, quoting the Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka, saying Kenya Kwanza using the AU carrot to gag us. But I think it's the Taifa Leo that has captured this discussion the best. And on the front page of Taifa Leo, the big headline, Raila wa mapambano amerudi. Kenya Kwanza yamtaka anyamaze ili asaidiwe AUC, lakini Kalonzo amtaka Odinga aikosoe serikali kila inapokosea. Na awali ukuruba wake na Rais William Ruto wanaposaka wadhifa wa AUC ulionekana kumfunga kinywa, lakini masaibu ya Wakenya kutokana na ufisadi na mafuriko mfanya Raila Odinga kulipuka ghafla na kuishambulia serikali. Wanauliza swali pale, kunani? And many people are already speculating that probably the AUC deal is gone. He's finally discovered that it's no longer possible or plausible. But he says even with the AUC, he's still in touch with what's happening locally. But we've seen that silence, Bwana. When Raila Odinga goes silent, it is a very loud silence. And we've felt it and we've seen it for the past few months or so. Yeah. That's why when he came back and said something, it was so obvious and so evident and everyone reacted to it. If at all AUC had not, or the position or the promise of the AUC chairmanship had not affected Raila's politics, we would have known, but it did. So when he says that even with the AUC, he still has a voice locally, we must take that with a pinch of salt, don't you think? Something else, something bigger than what we can see on the surface is happening.
Well, I don't know, because I would actually be joining the group of speculators if I was to explain myself in that. It's only
Go
that
ahead, I think.
No, but I don't like speculators because at times they speculate in their own direction. There are a number of things that have not been making me comfortable as a student of international studies, one of which is the position our government has been taking, erratically so, including the issue of condemning Iran, when we know the main culprit responsible for that altercations between the two countries was Israel, by attacking some place which is supposed to be some kind of shrine in terms of international law, and killing some of the generals from Iran, and Iran retaliated. Why am I saying that? I'm saying that because if you combine the French-speaking and the Muslim-leaning members of AU, they are likely to be more than those English-speaking. And therefore, it is something that you should not be unrattling when there is no need, and when we are also presenting your credentials for purposes of one of us getting the position at AU. So if the president did that, either he was sabotaging Raila, or he did it because perhaps he was informed differently by other people. But I do not think that Raila's silence, or Raila's now making that statement, has been informed by lack of opportunity to win the position at AU. It has been informed by the fact that many of us are feeling frustrated. In fact, if Raila was to move out of this space, we are likely to be overrun by one dictator in town. And therefore, Raila's presence, as far as I'm concerned, and this is my personal opinion, is a necessary evil on the land. And we at times we see it is better even to not to go for the AU seat, remain relevant, present his credentials, maybe the last time, and he may win, the way Abdullahi Wad won when he was doing the fifth re-election, attempt on election, and he got that particular position and became president of Senegal for 10 years. So anything is possible. And I do not want to speculate that Raila is doing it because he has seen some sour grapes. That position of AU is still steady because, many credible countries are still with us. And even the Muslim-leaning countries are likely to still get persuaded because some of them are with us as up to now. Whether that position will change tomorrow is something different. I know for Fauzia, when I was working for IGAD as a special envoy, we interacted with her. By then she was a member of parliament. And she is also capable of doing some gymnastics that will create a feeling that Raila is losing the position.
That axis between the French-speaking and the Muslim countries, that could benefit Fauzia, don't you think?
It will benefit her, but of course she has to get 33 members because you have to get 2/3 to win. If you don't get that 33 members, because some of the French-speaking countries are with us. Some of the Muslim-leaning countries are with us because they know Raila is different from Ruto. So even if Ruto made a mistake by doing what he did about Iran, they will still understand that Raila has an independent mind and given that opportunity is likely to do well. Okay. So I think the game is not yet over.
Okay. But Bonapogisio, it's about the consistency. Raila Odinga has always been speaking against any ills in this country for a very long time, non-stop. And we only see his silence. That's why his silence is always so glaring. Probably when he joined Uhuru Kenyatta in government through the handshake, he went silent, and many people criticized him for that. The kind of silence we've seen from him over the past 2-3 months after that meeting in Uganda with President Museveni and President Ruto has also been very glaring. Is it fair to say it has nothing to do with the AU, the fact that he's back speaking now?
Well, we must know Raila. I mean, Raila, by the way, even in his silence, Raila is the most consistent person in leadership that I know, although I'm not in the kitchen cabinet. But he's a man of all seasons. Literally, even the silence is facilitating something that leads to where he is going to go. But that doesn't stop him from feeling for the people. There's nothing that Raila enjoys like representing the downtrodden, the people who are suffering. And I'm sure even if you dangle that, whatever, that carrot, and the people are in trouble and the people are suffering, he'll come out. Raila will come out. Some of us want to come out, but nobody does it better than he does it. Kalonzo wants to come out, but Kalonzo would want to see Raila do it because the way he does it is different. And it is that trust that people have in Raila. If you see that Raila Mapambano, Amerudi, it's because that is the real character of Raila. You know, Amerudi, he never left.
It is clear, alikuwa ameondoka sasa amerudi.
You know, you need to know this man. This man has stood his ground for so many years. If there's a person who has been tested by all systems of government, so he was able to say this.
Yet we've seen him change sides from time to time.
Yeah, it is not.
What happened to Kenyatta and what is happening now?
Let me tell you, even when he was in a handshake, you could not overrun that guy. I mean, we were in that system. You could not. What happens is that he's reached a place in this country where he carries so many people with him that the same people must have come out and say, hey, we are dying. Same people, because he has also got his advisors. Some of them are not far from here, and you know that it must have told him, you know, you've been quiet, because also to be able to achieve the AU position, he also needed to do some of these things. He had to work with William Ruto. He had to work with certain presidents. And during that time, he definitely would look very quiet. And he left his generals going on. I mean, Azimio never kept quiet. But his voice finally had to come out. Against all odds, I mean, I heard Ichung'wa threatening, you know, and others threatening Raila even yesterday in their speeches. Oh, he might miss the AU job. Well, the place where the high stakes are is in the integrity of the country. The fact that William Ruto has already endorsed him and many other presidents have endorsed him, you can't now go back and say, we are going to unendorse or to rewind that. You can't do that. Okay. I mean, that's the integrity of the government. So when you tell people that you think, and I think this is something good for this leader majority to hear, you think the world acts the way you do. There's integrity in the process. Endorsements have already come. So can you think the country can go back and say, please don't endorse? Just because of a statement that the leader majority, the leader of opposition has said. And Raila is obviously the leader of the opposition in this country before he becomes chairman of AUC.
Okay. Yeah. One of the most telling images we've seen coming from around this time, just before Raila spoke, was the visit by the US ambassador to Kenya, Meg Whitman, to Raila's home. We've seen a pattern with Raila Odinga. Whenever there's something major about to happen, you see this number of meetings with the ambassadors from EU, the UK, and now the US. This is something that Kenyans have become used to, and they're pointing fingers and saying, huyo kama alikuwa huko kwake nyumbani lazima kuna kitu. Palipomoshi hapakosi moto. Raila mapambano amerudi, hajarudi.
My colleague has analyzed my boss very well. And I just want to remind Kenyans that that one man, Raila Odinga, cut across everyone. The poor, he started being a member of parliament in Kibera constituency, where very few, very, very few would want to be members of parliament. In fact, members of parliament have shouted at him, telling him, you have been a member of Kibera for so long. You didn't change the status of Kibera. How can you change the country? They've jeered. And he always asked, those people in Kibera, are they not Kenyans? We created them, so we must take care of them. He always is on the side of the marginalized. And I look at the movements of that one man, and I see, according to my own analysis, is he speaks for the marginalized. He speaks for people who have been mistreated. It doesn't matter where they come from. It doesn't matter even if they are from outside this country. And he connects with them, and because they have got no space to talk about what they have gone through, he speaks for them, irrespective of where they are, irrespective of the tribe, irrespective of whatever social class. And therefore, when you mistreat Kenyans' education, health, you are touching his people. And when I say his people, I don't mean his community. He's talking on behalf of those that he represents. And, talking the way he did, that is his element. He was at his best. So for anybody in government leader of opposition and whatever else, I mean, in majority, trying to talk down that you will miss this thing. Number one, I think they are not exposed to understand that even this meeting in Uganda that they were seen with the president of Uganda and His Excellency here, and somebody in their innocence think that it was a meeting that both of them agreed and they met there. I will tell you from a point of knowledge, they met there. Raila Odinga had already done his thing with Museveni. They had agreed. In fact, if you read, because it later leaked out to the media here, President Museveni said, if your president is not willing to propose you, I will propose you. Bring the papers. I will propose you for this position. Let me give you another assignment to go and do it for knowledge. Our president had 3 candidates. One of them is my boss. Look for the other 2. People from Mount Kenya really thought former President Uhuru Kenyatta is the other candidate. And they started marketing him. There was another hidden candidate.
The third one. So
yes.
Was Uhuru the second candidate?
Yes.
Okay.
There was a third one. And that third one had not come out in the public. That was the person that President Ruto wanted. And do a bit of research. We will talk about it, not on air, and I'll give you the name. Now, because already my boss had gone to other heads of state and marketed himself and gotten endorsement, our president was cornered. Okay? So
Raila Odinga was not his candidate.
He was not. I'm looking straight to your face to tell him he was not. And then the person that he wanted the 2 of them to crash by getting there. The 2 of them talked and said, I cannot be your opponent. So the other person also started going to those other presidents. He is a former president, getting an appointment with those others is an easy thing, and started marketing Raila Odinga. So behind the scenes, for anybody in Parliament and in the Cabinet and Senate to think that this thing was started and the buck stops at the president's door is wrong. Remember also the Prime Cabinet Secretary pronounced something in Ibondo that very soon, very, very, very soon, watch this space. We are going to do something good. I will not talk about it now, but you are going to see. And later on, the endorsement came. Look for that, and you'll find it. My last comment is that the Anglo, the French, the Islamic, the mix in the AU. And maybe there are many people who do not understand that Honorable Raila Odinga has been a Pan-Africanist from long time ago. Even during Kibaki's time, I will say this one not to brag, but it's a fact. You remember when the World Cup was to be done in South Africa?
2010.
2010. Before that, I was an ED in his political party. I carried the materials of his involvement in Pan-African movement. And I'm the one who flew to South Africa to take to the headquarters because they called and asked for that material. He was not a prime minister then. He was a cabinet minister. He has done things for Africa that are known outside the small space that we try to put him in. When we had issues in Ivory Coast, which is a French-speaking country, was he not sent to sort out the issue there in a French-speaking country? And it was sorted out diplomatically, and there was peace. He has been involved in you look at the curve of the French-speaking and Muslim countries in West Africa, North Africa, and you know, I see people trying to fit him in a bottle and corking it, that he can only relate at that level. The person is an international person. Let us not try to fit him in the small water bottle. My last, and I'm speaking, and I speak as a person who relates to the ground. When this position of AU, he showed interest and came out. Fred, go to the social media. I wish you would understand my mother tongue. Mm-hmm. People were so angry. They asked me, Mumbi, he's going, who is he leaving us with? Mm-hmm. And I said, but you didn't want him. Let him go and serve where he is needed. Hey, we are going to be finished by this person. And they insulted him in our FM stations, literally getting insults, very bad ones. And even now, after somebody said, he made me say, please check around. People are saying, oh, I wish you would miss it and come back and be a candidate in 2027. So do those members, are we in the same country? They don't come to me, but I can also read those things. Okay. So trying to contain my boss because of the AU position, I think somebody has lost it. And it is important that he be given the credit that belongs to him. He is a man of the people.
Okay. Yeah. Bwana Kirwa, your final comments on this. Kalonzo says this AU carrot is being used to gag Azimio as well, as you make your parting shot.
Yeah, I have to clear the air first. I'm not the third candidate. And I don't even qualify. Of course, I qualify because of my education, but in terms of national credentials, I'm still grappling with the reality. I think it is good for us to realize that the AU position is not just going to Raila, it's going to one of us as a Kenyan. And therefore, whether you are in Kenya Kwanza or you are in Azimio, let's not look at it with the lenses of our political parties. Let's look at it as a position coming to Kenya for the first time. Remember, we've not held that position. Tanzania has held through Salim Ahmed Salim, and many other countries in West Africa. If it came to Kenya, it's a blessing to us, because many other times we'll have to look for such a position. But finally, I think it is also important to inform the Kenya Kwanza team that any frustration on Raila may actually be their Waterloo. They should handle it with caution. Yeah.
Okay. Finally, Bwana Pogisio.
Well, indeed, I mean, we have a situation on our hands, and in fact, it would be very good if the president of this country would sit down with Raila on this situation as it is now, on the floods and so on, because it is very frustrating, you know, to see what's happening to Kenyan people. And this is not the time to insult or try and do anything to Raila. This is the time to try and embrace Raila, because he has this constituency which is suffering, and we all of us do. We're so frustrated. You know, by the way, the people who are not even shouting now are the people in these estates. These people who live not in the slums. Mm-hmm. And I heard Dr. Mobis even talking about the places which were posh places which are underwater. So the frustration is, and Raila is spoken for everybody, but particularly for the people in the slums who are being bundled out. And when I heard a lady saying her house was destroyed, and she said, my children's certificates are in that place. That's the end of the dreams for her. And we just go and knock it down, kick, you know, and do all those things. I mean, that would bring emotions to everybody. So I want to congratulate the former Prime Minister for coming out. And you can see how Kenyans are celebrating, say, Amerudi. He has come out. And he is felt, he is listened to. So let him continue to do what it is. Another news, and I'm congratulating the two universities, private universities have been granted a charter. One of them is Tangaza, the other one I think is the management, yes.
Yeah, Management University of Africa.
Yes, yeah. That's good news for us. But we go out from here into the floods. The government must be more serious than it seems to be doing now.
Okay. Thank you so much, Samuel Pogisio, former ICT Cabinet Minister, Dr. Mombingaru, former MP, East Africa Legislative Assembly, and Kipruto Rapkirwa, former Agriculture Minister. Our power panel every Monday, this and every Monday. Be sure to catch the next Monday on State of the Nation with this eminent Kenyans for more of the analysis on the situations that befall us. Now, the Ministry of Health has sounded the alarm about the looming threat of a cholera outbreak occasioned by the flooding situation in most parts of the country. It is crucial that swift and decisive action is taken to mitigate the risk, particularly in terms of disease preparedness and response. Already one case of confirmed cholera has been reported in Tana River County, which means more cases could emerge. Floods have destroyed sanitation facilities, including pit latrines and sewer lines. This damage, coupled with overcrowded rescue camps with limited access to clean water and hygiene resources, creates a breeding ground for infectious diseases. The Ministry of Health says it has embarked on preventive measures, including the distribution of cholera contingency supplies and water, sanitation and hygiene resources to affected areas. However, the effectiveness of these measures depends to a great extent on the availability of healthcare workers to manage and contain potential outbreaks. The ongoing strike by doctors, clinicians, and other healthcare professionals only serves to worsen an already precarious situation. If the current state of affairs persists, then we are staring at the possibility of a full-blown outbreak, which would have catastrophic consequences on the population. The Ministry of Health cannot afford to delay in ensuring that doctors and other essential personnel are available to respond effectively to any health emergencies arising from the flooding crisis. The government must take heed to its own warnings and take proactive steps to safeguard the well-being of its citizens. At a time like this, we cannot afford to have doctors on the streets. It is time to get the medics back in hospitals. That is editorial comment this morning.
Promoting insurance awareness with Insurance Regulatory Authority. Your house is one of your greatest investments. Have you?
Na safari hii katika Mfahamu Kiongozi tutakuletea viongozi aina mbalimbali.
Nikuwe na Nisani kama 10 na pia nikuwe menua minibus. Minibus nikoniwa.
Kushinda unaangalia simu ya mzee. Soma Biblia ama ingia kwa washroom ujisugue. Mpaka nimetoa hivi.
I don't know whether any of my children would want to get into the political field. Sijajua bado.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30 kuendelea.
Join us on a journey through the concrete jungles and rising skylines, where every beam, every nail tells a story of progress and vision.
In every aspect of life, you have to look at several dynamics.
From groundbreaking,
nowadays with the tech, you can check on different websites or you check online and you can see some inspiration. So at least that one would be a direction already. I'll know like what kind of style you're going for.
To finishing touches, witness the dedication of the hard-working teams who bring these ambitious dreams to reality. The Realtor, Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m.
Na safari hii katika Mfahamu Kiongozi tutakuletea viongozi aina mbalimbali.
Nikuwe na Nisani kama 10 na pia nikuwe menua minibus. Minibus nikoniwa.
Kushinda unaangalia simu ya mzee. Soma Biblia ama ingia kwa washroom ujisugue. Mpaka nimetoa hivi.
I don't know whether any of my children would want to get into the political field. Sijajua bado.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30 kuendelea.
Join us on a journey through the concrete jungles and rising skylines, where every beam, every nail tells a story of progress and vision.
In every aspect of life, you have to look at several dynamics.
From groundbreaking,
nowadays with the tech, you can check on different websites or you check online and you can see some inspiration. So at least that one would be a direction already. I'll know like what kind of style you're going for.
To finishing touches, witness the dedication of the hard-working teams who bring these ambitious dreams to reality. The Realtor, Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m.
Na safari hii katika Mfahamu Kiongozi tutakuletea viongozi aina mbalimbali.
Nikuwe na Nisani kama 10 na pia nikuwe menua minibus. Minibus nikoniwa.
Kushinda unaangalia simu ya mzee. Soma Biblia ama ingia kwa washroom ujisugue. Mpaka nimetoa hivi.
I don't know whether any of my children would want to get into the political field. Sijajua bado.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30 kuendelea.
Join us on a journey through the concrete jungles and rising skylines, where every beam, every nail tells a story of progress and vision.
In every aspect of life, you have to look at several dynamics.
From groundbreaking.
Nowadays with the tech, you can check on different websites or you check online and you can see some inspiration. So at least that one would be a direction already. I'll know like what kind of style you're going for.
To finishing touches, witness the dedication of the hard-working teams who bring these ambitious dreams to reality. The Realtor, Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m.
Na safari hii katika Mfahamu Kiongozi tutakuletea viongozi aina mbalimbali.
Nikuwe na Nisani kama 10 na pia nikuwe menua minibus. Minibus nikoniwa.
Kushinda unaangalia simu ya mzee. Soma Biblia ama ingia kwa washroom ujisugue. Mpaka nimetoa hivi.
I don't know whether any of my children would want to get into the political field. Sijajua bado.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30 kuendelea.
Join us on a journey through the concrete jungles and rising skylines, where every beam, every nail tells a story of progress and vision.
In every aspect of life, you have to look at several dynamics.
From groundbreaking.
Nowadays with the tech, you can check on different websites or you check online and you can see some inspiration. So at least that one would be a direction already. I'll know like what kind of style you're going for.
To finishing touches, witness the dedication of the hard-working teams who bring these ambitious dreams to reality. The Realtor, Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m.
Na safari hii katika Mfahamu Kiongozi tutakuletea viongozi aina mbalimbali.
Nikuwe na Nisani kama 10 na pia nikuwe menua minibus. Minibus nikoniwa.
Kushinda unaangalia simu ya mzee. Soma Biblia ama ingia kwa washroom ujisugue. Mpaka nimetoa hivi.
I don't know whether any of my children would want to get into the political field. Sijajua bado.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30 kuendelea.
Join us on a journey through the concrete jungles and rising skylines, where every beam, every nail tells a story of progress and vision.
In every aspect of life, you have to look at several dynamics.
From groundbreaking.
Nowadays with the tech, you can check on different websites or you check online and you can see some inspiration. So at least that one would be a direction already. I'll know like what kind of style you're going for.
To finishing touches, witness the dedication of the hard-working teams who bring these ambitious dreams to reality. The Realtor, Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m.
Na safari hii katika Mfahamu Kiongozi tutakuletea viongozi aina mbalimbali.
Nikuwe na nisani kama 10 na pia nikuwe menua minibus. Minibus nikoniwa.
Kushinda unaangalia simu ya mzee, soma Biblia ama ingia kwa washroom ujisugue mpaka nimetoa hii.
I don't know whether any of my children would want to get into the political field. Sijajua bado.
Kila Alhamisi.
Right, welcome back. This is Morning Cafe. It's a Monday discussing matters health, and today we talk about your child's dental health, dental care really. And well, your child has been on the whole long holidays, probably been feeding on some whole junk stuff, but what you really need to know on this conversation, Dr. PJ Muruki joins us this morning. Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
First of all, as we talk about the whole child dental care, you can tell us more about what it means and walk us through the dental formula of a child when they're born all the way until they're about 18 years. How does it progress and all that?
All right. Thank you very much. And I'm happy to be back speaking about dental health. So basically, when we are talking about children's teeth and how to take care of their teeth, we have to start from when the teeth form. Because you know, the tooth is one of the very few parts of the body that does not regenerate once it forms. So meaning that we have to take care of it all the way from the time that it is formed. And it would be interesting for the viewers to know that teeth formation starts in the first trimester of pregnancy. And when we say about tooth formation, we are talking about the mineralization of the tooth, because the tooth formation process starts with a tooth as a tooth bud, the way you can have like a seed. So then the tooth forms inside the bone, and only when it is fully formed, just part of the root remaining, that's when it comes into the mouth. So during that mineralization process, if there is any interference, be it some unwanted chemicals like fluoride and things like that, then it will affect how that tooth is going to erupt into the body, into the mouth. So, but basically, we have two sets of teeth. Of course, when a child is born, they'll be born with the milk teeth. And then after some time, some of those teeth will start coming off. There is a schedule for that. And then eventually now we have what we have there, permanent dentition.
Let me take you back to what you were mentioning, the high intake of the fluoride for this teeth fetus, before now becoming a baby, before being born.
Yes.
Is it now from the intake of the mother intaking high levels of fluoride?
Yes, that's correct. That's correct. So because tooth is formed of various minerals, calcium, phosphate, and all those other things. But now when a mother takes water that has high fluoride, you know, of course the baby feeds from the mother. So the high fluoride is able to pass to the baby through the umbilical cord, and it will be in the baby's circulation, and therefore when the teeth are forming, the high fluoride will be deposited on the teeth, and by the time they are getting born, because the teeth will have already formed, those teeth will erupt, being affected and having dental fluorosis.
Right.
Yes.
So you now, as you continue now telling us, after being born, how many teeth baby, as a baby, progressively, you can probably start with under 3 years old, also 3 years, between let's say 10 years and 10 years to around 18 years.
Correct.
How all that progresses?
So like I said, we have 3 sets of teeth. We have, I can classify it as 3 stages.
Okay.
So we have the stage where we have deciduous dentition, or what we commonly refer as milk teeth. So milk teeth, again, erupt in different stages. So not all the teeth come at the same time. So when a baby is born and around, actually, it's good that you mentioned that there are some cases where a baby is born with teeth, all right? So these are called neonatal teeth. Some of them are real teeth. Others are what people call plastic teeth.
Oh, the plastic.
All right. So in some cases where the tooth bud is very superficial, then you find that either when the baby is born or the time around when they are born, the first month, you'll find that they have a tooth which is coming in.
How common are the plastic teeth?
Not very common, but it's not unusual. So the prevalence, I don't have the exact statistics, but yes, they are there. So
if a parent sees the child with the plastic teeth, should they be worried?
Yeah, actually not really worried. What they should do is they should make sure that they consult a dentist, because there are cases where those plastic teeth are very mobile and they need to be removed. Again, there are some precautions that have to be taken, including making sure that the baby has vitamin K and all the other things to ensure that they don't bleed too much. So in cases where it's very mobile, it has to be removed. Why? Because it's a risk. The baby can aspirate that tooth and it chokes them. All right?
So they actually lose, and even for the context of somebody who's watching us and they're wondering, well, because when you mention something plastic, it tends to be a little softer than when, if I, just touching my own teeth.
Yes.
They're hard, and I'm pretty sure due to the whole calcium and all that.
Yes.
But then, is it the same for plastic? I mean, how soft are they, and how loose are they, even on the gums?
All right. So the plastic teeth are usually not as firm and as solid as a natural tooth. So, and that's why we are saying, in cases where the dentist is able to diagnose that this person has, or this baby has plastic teeth, then that tooth might need to be removed, because they are very mobile, they are not a real tooth, and they pose a risk in terms of aspiration. Because remember, when the baby is feeding, it is more or less suckling. So there's pressure which is being generated. So that pressure can dislodge that tooth and it can choke the baby. But in some cases, and actually I dare say most cases, you find that it is a natural tooth.
Okay.
It is a real tooth. It's only that the tooth bud was so superficial.
Right.
So where that tooth is assessed again by the dentist and they find that it is a good tooth and it is a natural tooth which is not posing any risk to the mother or the baby, then it should not be removed.
And some of the questions that even a mother would ask is, did I do something wrong during the whole pregnancy time? Did I take something that I shouldn't have so that now my child has plastic teeth?
Not really, not really. It's mostly nothing to do with what you do or what you don't do.
Okay.
So it's something that should not worry any mother. So long as they're able to access the services of a qualified dentist, they should be able to get sorted.
Right. Now that you've walked us through all that and the whole stages of the same, now let's get into the clinic. Before we actually now get into the elephant in the room and the whole dental problems and the diseases. So even all these stages, the kind of cleaning, so that you have this baby, either the whole plastic teeth or just without any teeth. How does the whole cleaning of the dental and the oral bit, the teeth, inside the mouth, the tongue, everything, all the stages from being a baby under 3 years old to around 10 years and proceeding further?
All right. So, and just to take you back a bit, so we have the milk teeth, which we call the deciduous teeth. So they usually are from the first year of birth, mostly around 6 months, all the way to around 5 years. So they are meant to be 20 teeth that will erupt at different stages. So that is the milk tooth or the deciduous stage. Then we have another stage where we call mixed dentition. Mixed dentition is where we have milk teeth and the permanent teeth. So this is where the baby starts exfoliating some milk teeth that start shaking and they fall off and they are replaced by what we call the permanent teeth. Then from around 12 years, all the way now to adulthood, we have what we call permanent dentition. So permanent dentition are teeth that are meant to serve you for the rest of your life. So when it comes to cleaning, we normally say that you should start cleaning even before the teeth come into the mouth. When the baby still has the gum pads without any teeth. So what you should do is, because brushing is a habit and it takes you getting used to it. So even for the baby, immediately they finish suckling, we advise the mother to take a clean cloth and just rub on the gum.
No toothbrush yet?
No toothbrush yet. Okay. Actually, the baby has no teeth. But that gets the baby used to the thing of brushing. Then when the first teeth appear in the mouth, normally around 6 months, they should make sure that they brush, not brush really, but wipe those teeth after every breastfeeding, especially at night. The reason why we say this is milk or breast milk has a lot of sugars. It's lactose sugar. And when this tooth is exposed to this environment where there is a lot of milk in the mouth, it can easily start getting decay.
So right? This point, the mother is using, or the guardian there, is using a clean...
Yes, a clean piece of cloth.
Should it be dry or just damp?
Just damp,
with
just some water. Just put some water and then just clean the teeth, because it removes, the sugars. And the sugars are what causes dental decay. Right. So even babies' teeth actually get decay. And most mothers will come and tell us that the teeth are breaking off. Mostly it's just because of the breast milk.
Decay 6 months.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
So then, as we approach 1 year, by the time we are reaching 1 year, that's when the baby should have their first dental visit. All right. So because this time they have a set of milk teeth, and they need again to get used to going to the dentist. And
so
again,
as much as even they
don't have any problem.
They look healthy.
Yes, they don't have any problem. They look healthy. We have a bad culture of just going when things are bad to seek oral health services.
Yeah.
Actually, by just going, some of this information that we are giving on this show, you'll be given by your dentist. And this information will even help in prevention of some of those oral health conditions that happen. You'll be more of doing of promotive and preventive dentistry. And it will save you a lot of money rather than when you're just coming for curative services. So by 1 year, you can introduce the brushing. Of course, again, you should use fluoridated toothpaste, not non-fluoridated. But what matters is the size. You should use very minimal toothpaste, very, very minimal, a pea size.
A pea size,
pea size, of toothpaste. Because again, remember, toothpaste has a lot of fluoride. And babies, they don't know how to spit, right? So just a little, and in some cases, we even tell you don't use toothpaste if you it's not a must, all right? But we recommend that you use toothpaste, but very minimal amount, because the babies sometimes swallow. And remember, you're saying fluoride, when swallowed, is dangerous. Can cause dental fluorosis. So very little, just get the motions right. And this time, remember, it is the parent who's doing it. Still, you can continue if the baby is breastfeeding, especially at night. Still use your warm, your moist cloth to wipe the teeth after breastfeeding at night. And
so this is at 1 year?
Between 1 year all the way to 3 years,
Right.
You alternate this cloth and brushing until the baby is able to tolerate the brush in the mouth.
How about the softness of the brush itself?
Yeah, it should be just a soft brush, because the gums are very tender, so you don't want to use heavy forces, and you don't want to use a brush that is very, very tough on the gums.
Right.
So then, as you proceed to a baby now who's grown up, who's 5 years and above, again, we still recommend that as much as the baby is brushing, they can brush in the morning, then the parent helps them to brush at night. Because the most important time for brushing is at night, because during the night, you are not talking, you are not using your teeth. That's when all the bacteria are having a party in the mouth, because of the food leftovers.
Right.
So we have to make sure that we brush, because that's when most of the damage usually happens, at night. So the baby brushes in the morning. We're talking of a baby who's 6 years, 7 years. Then at night, the mother at least helps to brush before they go to sleep.
Okay, continue.
Yeah. Then, of course, now someone who's above 8, 10 going on, this is someone who's developed some manual dexterity, so they're able to brush on their own. But then again, we still insist on supervision. And the underlying point here is that they should be visiting the dentist at least twice a year, just for checkup, to make sure that there is nothing that is happening.
So after every 6 months.
Yes.
So between the age of 6 and because now at this point, 5 there to around 8 years, you've told us that they brush at night, as well as twice a day,
yes,
but preferably at night.
They brush twice a day, but assisted brushing. So
okay.
where you are also supervising.
Right.
So they can brush in the morning, then you brush as a parent or the guardian, brushes at night. Brushes them just so that if they didn't brush well in the morning, you're able to correct that in the night. The same way you cannot tell them to wash their clothes. They might wash the cloth, but it will not be clean. Yeah, so you have to supervise to make sure that the collar is well done and stuff like that. So the same thing with brushing. So you make sure that you supervise to make sure that they've brushed well.
Right. Yes. So at age 1, we have a pea-sized the toothpaste.
Yes.
On the same. Yes. And now between age 5 to 8, do you increase the amount of toothpaste that is used on the toothbrush for this child? And also, when you take a look at around age 6, 7, 8 there, this is someone who's probably around grade 3, and they're quite common to use and to ingest toothpaste.
Toothpaste, yes.
So tell us about that.
Yeah, so it's a big challenge because some of these toothpaste are, they feel palatable, especially to kids.
Yeah.
So again, it's the knowledge gap. So they need to be told that it is dangerous to do that. Then secondly, again, the size of the toothpaste. It's a common myth or a common practice where you find people just flooding the whole surface of the toothbrush with toothpaste, even adults. That is not what we recommend, just a little, because... This is just a cleaning agent. It's not the brush is the one that is doing the cleaning and your hands. So this is just an agent. So you don't need to flood it with a lot of toothpaste. So again, these babies, they should be supervised. Like we said, that's why we said until they're around 10 when they can comprehend some of these things.
Yeah.
So you supervise, make sure they use very little toothpaste because fluoride is important. And we usually say the fluoride can be an angel or a devil. It's an angel when used topically, meaning you're just using it on the teeth. And that is why we highly recommend fluoridated toothpaste. The problem is it becomes a devil when you swallow it. So either through borehole water or all the water sources or even swallowing the toothpaste. That is now when it will affect the teeth and your bones. So it will cause what we call dental fluorosis, where the baby develops brown teeth, and also their bones get weakened.
Right.
So the size of the toothpaste should just be very minimal, not a lot, and then they should be told not to ingest the toothpaste. Yes.
So now we're at age 10, and even for a child who's listening to you this morning, as they continue taking their breakfast. So at age 10, we'll assume that this child doesn't really need the whole supervision of even how to brush their teeth. But then walk them through how they actually brush their teeth, because there's a whole brushing the teeth, as well as the gums, as well as the tongue. They probably see the adults in the house doing all that until a brush at the back of their tongue.
Yes.
Until they actually feel like getting choked. Walk us through. Should a child also do the same criteria of brushing the whole mouth like that?
Yes. So actually there's a song we used to sing in primary school that you wake up in the morning, you brush your teeth, and I think you eat your breakfast and then rush to school. That is not the way it's supposed to be. So what you do is you wake up in the morning, take your breakfast.
Shouldn't be before?
No.
Oh, okay.
You take your breakfast, then after breakfast, take your brush, just put a little toothpaste, just a little, and the brush that we recommend is a medium size toothbrush. So you just put a little toothpaste and you brush your teeth. So brushing the teeth is, I wish I had come with the models and all that.
Yeah.
But basically we want to brush all the surfaces of the teeth and all the teeth. So most times you find that kids will just brush where you can see, and then they just come and show you that I've brushed my teeth.
Yeah.
Remember, we have teeth at the back, the molars, and those are the most susceptible teeth for getting cavities. Why? Because of their anatomy. They are big teeth that have a lot of grooves and fissures. So those grooves and fissures, that's where the dirt usually hides itself. So what we want to do is we make sure that we brush. If this is your tooth, you're just brushing the top surface, the inner surface towards the tongue and also towards your cheek. So you're brushing on the outside, the biting surface, and also towards the tongue. Then when it comes to the front teeth, again, you brush where people can see. That's the outer surface of the teeth. But also remember the inner surface of the teeth, all right? The whole brushing process should not take less than 2 minutes. People just put the brush and then they're out. It should take at least 2 minutes where you're able to touch on all the surfaces. Then you should angulate your brush in such a way that some bristles are passing through the gap that is usually there between the gum and the tooth. There is usually what we call a periodontal pocket. So it's a pocket that is usually just the way you have between your nail beds. There's a space that is there that is very notorious for packing food. So you angulate your brush 45 degrees so that the bristles are able to brush across the gum to remove any dirt that is there.
Right.
Then after that, you can now rinse your mouth, rinse your brush, and then now brush your tongue. Make sure you brush your tongue because the tongue also sometimes gets very dirty because that's where all the food is getting through. And it can lead to even bad breath, where you're brushing your teeth, but then you're forgetting to brush your tongue. Of course, don't be too aggressive. The more you brush it, the cleaner it becomes, and you don't have to spend a lot of force or, using a lot of time brushing the tongue. But it is very important that you brush the tongue. Then during the day, when they're at school, after every meal, we recommend at least you rinse your mouth with water so as to remove the debris. I'm very happy there are some schools that actually give kids brushes to brush after lunch. That is what is recommended, but where it's not practically possible, then you can use your water and just rinse in the or your teeth with the water. Then at night, brushing should be the last thing that you do before getting to bed. Like we said, during the day, there is a lot of movement. Your tongue is cleaning the teeth. There is a lot of saliva production when you are talking and all those things. But at night, you are at rest. So your mouth is not doing anything. So if there is food debris that is left in the mouth, remember the mouth has a lot of bacteria. So when these bacteria now have that food substrate, they'll produce a byproduct which will cause bad breath, will eat away the surfaces of your teeth, and you develop cavities. So basically, that is what should happen when we're brushing.
Right. Now, before we get into the whole corrections as well as the common problems when it comes to the oral bit and the whole dental formula of you as a child, remember you can call in live 0795 045 864. In case you're a child and you're watching this, ambia mama, ambia dad, piga simu sahi. And even as you call us, tell us where you're from. Switch off your television, just mute it, and be as audible as possible. Daktari will be answering all your questions, or if you probably just have a thought or an opinion, you can also tell us. So do that. Our phone numbers are quite open. You can also text us, 22047 is our SMS number, as well as WhatsApp. You can WhatsApp us right now, 0793 267 279. So, Doc, because we've now established how everything really looks like, how you should actually clean it. Now, before you actually get into the kind of diseases that are there, the whole cavities and decay, walk us through also braces. Who needs braces, really? Because they're quite common among children. So who really needs braces? I think back then I used to see kids with braces, they really looked cool, but then who really needs braces? Does it reach an age as a child that the braces should come off and all that? Talk to us about that.
All right. So, yes, so braces are what is part of what we call orthodontic treatment. Orthodontic treatment is a discipline within dentistry that deals with correction of crooked teeth. All right? So these are teeth, especially permanent teeth, that have grown either due to lack of space or the size of the tooth bigger than the jaw. They are not able to fit in the mouth properly. And when teeth are not properly aligned, of course, it will affect your looks, your appearance. It might also affect your function, that is eating and speech, the way you talk. And basically, the facial appearance is affected. So in those cases, then you need to do orthodontic treatment. Now, orthodontic treatment is not just braces. There are so many other ways of correcting these malalignment or these problems that have to do with the spaces. Now, the issue of braces has become, commercialized.
A whole bunch of minting.
First of all, not everyone can be able to put braces. This is a specialty within dentistry, and someone requires additional training to be able to put braces, because it's not just putting the braces. What I normally say is braces do not correct teeth.
Okay.
It is the doctor who uses braces to correct teeth. So the underlying emphasis here is the knowledge and the skill of the person doing it. Putting braces, even you, Stan, you can be able to put braces. It's just sticking them on the teeth.
Right.
But how you stick them to the tooth, what position you put them on, what mechanics that you are going to use is what determines the success of the treatment. The unfortunate bit is we have very few dental surgeons in the country. We only have around 1,500 dental surgeons in the country. And out of this, only around 800 are actively practicing. Now, even for these dental surgeons, even me when I qualified, I had to undergo some additional training to be able to do braces. But now what you are finding is there are so many, let me just call them quacks, because when you are doing something that you are not qualified to do, then you're just a quack, right? There are so many people who are doing this. Some are professionals, yes, but who their scope of practice should not involve putting braces, all right? Now, the unfortunate bit is that these braces cause what we call irreversible movement of the teeth. So if these teeth move in the wrong direction, right, as much as you are seeing the teeth, correcting, there is a certain movement that they should go with, because you are not seeing where the root is. So if unwanted forces are applied on those teeth, what happens is the roots of those teeth can get damaged. And you as a parent or you as a patient, you will not see, you'll just see the teeth that are aligning, but you cannot see the root.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get resorption of the root. And sometimes you can even I've had cases of patients who come with mobile teeth after braces, because remember, these are forces that are used. It's only that you have to use certain type of force, and that is where the issue of the skill and knowledge comes in. So I would really advise parents that braces is not a must for every child. It's a treatment. It is not just a one-fit-all kind of scenario. It's a treatment, and there are very many different types of braces, and diagnosis is very important. The braces that I might have on myself might be different from the ones that you have on you and the other patients, and so on and so forth. So the most important thing that I'd say is not everyone should have braces, number one. They're not just there for fun. Number two, not everyone should be able to put braces. So you need, as a patient, to also make sure that you do your due diligence to make sure that the person who's doing this kind of treatment is qualified to do. And nowadays it's easy. We have a portal, the Medical Practitioners and Dentists Council.
Okay.
Yeah, so you just go in there and type the name of your doctor and see whether they are registered.
Right.
The person should be registered either as a dental surgeon or an orthodontist.
Right. Fantastic on that. Now, this particular age is one, and mostly, let's say, mostly particularly even for boys, they're quite, jumpy and all that. And chances of this, let's say, probably it's a 12-year, 13-year-old, either boy or even a girl, getting one of their teeth chipped is very high. What happens because even for a number of viewers, the parent wonders, huyu mtoto alitoka shule and one of their teeth was probably chipped off. What happens in this scenario? Should they just continue living that way? Will they be okay, or they can get a correction on that?
Yeah, it's possible to correct. If actually there is a myth that I always like demystifying, the issue of if there's a problem with a tooth, remove it. That is very backward. The way God made us is such that he wants us to go back with everything that he gave us. Same way you'll go back to him with your 2 arms, 10 fingers. He wants you to go back with all your teeth. So that's beside the point. But if it is a fracture that has happened with the tooth, nowadays we have tooth-colored materials that we use to fix the tooth. And actually, I even dare say, even for milk teeth. Milk teeth, they have functions in the mouth. So number 1 is the appearance of the baby. Number 2, they help the baby to eat. And number 3, they preserve space for the permanent teeth. So this issue of people saying that milk teeth, if it has a hole or it has a fracture or it has any problem, should be removed. It should not be removed until its time to come off is due. Because what happens is, for example, if you remove a milk tooth before its time, what happens is that space closes. And when the permanent tooth now is ready to come out, it will not have the space for to fit in the mouth.
Right.
And that is where now teeth start growing from the side.
All right, thank you, Doctor. Let me take this call by Beatrice kutoka Syokimau. Beatrice, a very good morning to you. Yes, endelea.
Niko na mtoto approaching 2 years in July. In July 22nd.
Okay.
Na amemea tu meno ya mbele peke yake, anjamea zingine. So nilikuwa naona it has taken long. Na daktari alinihakikishia, daktari wa watoto aliniambia itamea tu with time, but naona it has taken long. So nilikuwa nauliza daktari kama it is in order meno kuchelewa after 2 years ya mtoto kumea.
So far kona ngapi?
Nani?
Mtoto akona ngapi sahi?
Akona 4 ya chini na ya juu.
Oh.
Na ako almost 2 years now.
Almost 2 years. Okay.
Yeah.
So asante sana Beatrice, salimia watu wa Syokimau.
Okay, nitawasalimia. Atajibu sahi?
Yes, anajibu sahi, anakusikia anajibu sahi tu.
Okay.
Yes. Asante sana. You can always call us live 0795045864. WhatsApp us 0793267279. We'll be going through them. But first, that question on the whole delay of the growing of mtoto.
Yeah. So, yes. So that's a good question. Now, like we said, teeth start erupting between 6 months all the way to around 3 years of age. And these teeth erupt at different stages. So the first ones to start are usually the incisors, the lower incisors, then you go up, have the upper incisors, then you have the canines and the molars, the milk tooth molars, right? So now, she's saying that the front teeth, the incisors have grown.
4 of them.
4 of them, yeah. And the child is 2 years, right?
1 year and a couple of months, yes. Heading into 2 years.
Yes, I'd say that she shouldn't be worried,
okay,
because the molars usually come in between around 22 months. That's about 2 years, 2 years to 3 years. So she should not be so worried. And their kids are different. There are kids that will grow even teeth at 3 months, and by the time they are 2 years, they have all their teeth in the mouth. So we see other kids who have a lot of delay that even go up to 4 years, especially boys. So she shouldn't be worried. However, there is a way that they can even take some pictures or x-rays to make sure that that tooth is there. But at this point, I'd say that she shouldn't be worried at all.
Right.
Yes.
So, but then now, to the whole, is there a point where she should now start getting worried? Does it get back to what you were telling us?
Yeah, around 3 years. 3 years, then at least now, not really getting worried, but they should check to see if those teeth are there.
Right.
Yes, because we have cases where we have some conditions where teeth do not form. It's rare in milk teeth. It's more of the permanent teeth. But at this point, for the sake of this parent, I'd say she shouldn't be worried. Let her just make sure she visits the dentist every 6 months, and they can be able to evaluate.
All right.
Yes.
Now let's get into the kind of the dental diseases that are there. Before we actually take a look at the kind of photos that I have, and you just analyzing them, really.
Yes.
What are the first of all, the most common that you've experienced, and the kind of the rare ones? But before that, let's pick this call by Peter kutoka Nyeri. Peter, habari asubuhi.
Na pia kuuliza swali.
Yes, endelea uliza.
Niko na mtoto msichana wa miaka 5 hivi. Napoangalia meno yake yamedevelop brownish colorations. Nilipouliza daktari akaniambia kwamba shida yake ni venye ametumia amoxicillin sana. Kwa hivyo sasa meno yake ni kama they are being eaten away. My main problem is that my worry is that nashindwa hii meno yake especially kule nyuma ya molars na premolars huko. Sijui ningependa daktari anisaidie hayo yanakuwa permanent ama kuna mahali itafika itoke, kwa sababu nimeangalia nimeona ni kama imeanza ku develop cavities.
Okay.
So that one is worrying me and I don't know what to do.
Sawa.
Please you can help me in that.
Sawa. Doc amesikia swali yako, atakuwa anajibu sahihi tu. Asante sana Peter kutoka Nyeri.
Nashukuru.
Sawa, salimia watu wa Nyeri. Doc?
Yes. So thank you so much, Peter. Now, you know, it's difficult to give a very authoritative answer because I've not been able to review the patient and see. But from what he's talking about, there could be two differentials or two different possibilities. Number one, he's said that the child is around 5 years.
Yeah.
And the teeth are turning brown in color. And he's also mentioned that zinavunjika.
And particularly the molars.
The molars, right? So we could be having issues to do with the dental caries. Dental caries is a condition where teeth develop cavities. And this is usually brought about by the whole issue of diet and sugar, right? And lack of brushing the same. So when you eat very high sugary diet and you don't brush properly, then these teeth are meant to develop cavities because of that. So, and that is when now you start seeing the teeth breaking off, and there is also change of color. All right, they turn black in color and they start breaking off, and sometimes they totally break off. So you're left with a.
All right. Yes. Allow me to interrupt you. He also mentioned about amoxicillin. We'll get to that, but before that, let's pick this call by Mary kutoka Nakuru.
All right.
Mary, habari asubuhi?
Mzuri sana.
Watu wa Nakuru mnaendeleaje?
Wazima.
Yes, Doc ako hapa masuala ya meno na afya meno ya watoto. Uko na swali au maoni?
Nina swali.
Yes, uliza atajibu.
So my daughter last year around Easter alipata accident. So meno zake mbili zikatoka, one canine and one incisor. So this year, early this month imeanza kutoka moja na ni canine moja imetoka, lakini imeziba ile space ya canine. So I'm worried like ikifika hiyo time ya canine kumea, juu kutendaje juu hakuna hiyo space.
Mary, how old is your daughter?
She's 5 years.
5 years, okay, sawa.
Yeah.
Umevisit dentist ama bado?
The time alianguka nilienda kwa dentist, so nikaambiwa tu ni chill, ningoje meno zitamea. But last week pia nilikuwa nimeenda hiyo visit. So nikaambiwa venye meno zinafaa kung'oka niende atolewe ile ilikuwa inafaa itoke ya kwanza.
Okay.
Ndio space isiendelee kuziba, but sasa tunaona the canine ikifika hiyo time ya kumea, hiyo space imeziba kabisa.
Sawa. Thank you very much Mary, Salimatu Nakuru, and asante sana for calling us. Asante sana. Daktari atakuwa anajibu sahihi tu. All right, remember you can always call us live 0795045864. The doc will be filling your questions on the same. Before we get to Mary's question, I hope umeshika vizuri. Nataka tumalizie ya Peter kutoka Nyeri akiuliza ile story ya the amoxicillin, telling us the 5-year-old child, the whole discoloration and particularly in the molar. And now you had given us different kind of scenarios. So there's scenario 1.
Yes.
But now the whole scenario 2 here, amoxil. Amoxil is a drug, I believe.
Yes, it's a drug.
Yes.
So it's actually related again to what I said about dental caries, because the problem is usually not the antibiotic itself, the amoxil. The problem is these antibiotics, they are usually mixed with sugar to make them palatable for the children. So, and because it's a syrup, once you take it, this sugary stuff is left on the teeth. So if you are not able to brush properly to remove this sugary coating from the drug, then the teeth are meant to develop cavities. The only medication that can cause discoloration of teeth when you ingest it is what we call tetracycline, especially when taken by a pregnant woman or a baby when they are young. Those teeth will come out looking grayish in color because it stains the teeth when they are forming. But when the teeth have already formed, even if you take amoxil, it's not the drug itself causing the problem. It is the way it is, it has some sugary syrup. So when you take, some of the syrup remains on the teeth, and that forms a substrate for the bacteria to start destroying your teeth. So it goes back to what we were talking about brushing. The other scenario for him could be the issue of dental fluorosis. Dental fluorosis is where you have brown discoloration of teeth because of water, taking water that has high fluoride. So these teeth characteristically have brown discoloration, and they usually break off. So they are usually very weak and they are breaking off. So this is because of dental fluorosis. So what I'd advise Peter is that he visits a dentist so that he's able to diagnose exactly what is happening. And there are many, many solutions to these problems. It doesn't mean that once it happens, that's it. Now, coming to the caller from Nakuru, sorry. So they had a child who fell down and one of their milk tooth came off.
One in scissor, one canine. Yeah.
So again, what usually happens is, like we said, milk teeth are very important in speech, function in terms of feeding, and preserving space for the permanent teeth. So whenever you lose a milk tooth, when it's not ready to come out, then what happens is that space automatically closes. So when it closes, when the permanent tooth is ready to come out, it will not have space and it will start erupting from the side. And that is what people commonly refer as home. You know, home is not an extra tooth. It is your tooth which is growing from the side because the space where it was supposed to grow is not there. So for Mary, I'd advise that she needs to walk this journey with the dentist, because there's something called serial extraction that can be done. Serial extractions means that when the canine is ready to come in, you can now remove the molar and have the canine fit there, and then you continue until all the teeth are accommodated.
So Mary, I hope umepata hiyo jibu. From Nakuru, let me take you all the way to Mombasa, pahali Valerie yuko. Valerie, habari asubuhi?
Nzuri.
Unakaa una furaha ribo kutoka Mombasa. Tuambie una yepi leo?
Okay, I had a question.
Uliza.
Niko na mtoto ako 5 years. She's 5 years, but she has a condition.
Okay.
She has cerebral palsy. So my question is, meno zake zote zimeoza. Alafu sasa nikiangalia zimeoza na ndani.
Okay.
Na she's 5 years. Niliambiwa zitakuja zing'oke, alafu zingine zime. But sasa naona anaelekea 6 years na bado.
Right.
So I was asking daktari, hizi meno zake sometimes analia, sijui kama huwa zinamuuma, haongei. Alafu tukikuja kwa kubrush, wado natumia soft cloth, but still siwezi fikia hiyo meno ya mwisho. Siwezi panua mdomo nikamwambia panua, ama akipanua ananiuma. So sijui kama kuna special brush ni labda inaweza wasaidia.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask.
Sawa, asante sana Valerie, salimia watu wa Mombasa pale uko, endelea kutazama TV47.
Okay, thank you.
Quite a loaded question, Doc, for you.
Yes. No, actually, it's a very important question. It's about children with special needs. So these children with special needs, she talked about the cerebral palsy, right? So most of the time you find that they have issues to do with manual dexterity, being able to, to move their hands and being able to brush. So these are children that need special attention, especially at home by the guardian. The moment the teeth start coming into the mouth, they need to be assisted in brushing, right? And again, the whole point of making sure that we brush in the morning and in the evening, and we make sure that we cover all the surfaces of the teeth. So for her daughter, most likely she's crying because she has what we call pulpitis, or pain from the teeth. And because she's not able to express herself, then the only way she can do is just cry. And she said that the teeth have broken off, and especially the back teeth. So what happens is when the outer layer breaks off, there is a nerve that is usually at the center of the tooth, and it's usually very, very painful. So what I'd advise her is that she needs to go to, she's in Mombasa, right?
Yeah.
If she goes to Coast General, there is a pediatric dentist who's there. These kids with special needs, you usually see them under sedation or under general anesthesia. So you take them to the theater and do everything at once. Where if there are teeth, and she should stop saying that they are milk teeth, they'll come out. Remember, they have a stage, and we cannot let this baby be in pain waiting for the permanent teeth to come in. So even if they are milk teeth, they need to be taken care of. And this is a point that I have to stress. Even a milk tooth that has a cavity and it is paining, if it is not ready to come out, it has not reached the time for coming out, there is a way that we treat it so that now it stops paining and you cover it so that it maintains that space.
So probably initially, was it a false analysis by the medic who told Mary that, or rather Valerie, that, zitangoka? But then, even as you hold on to that, let's go to Thika. Is it Mushiri? Mushiri kutoka Thika, habari asubuhi. Mushiri, habari asubuhi.
Yangu iko salama sana, unanipata?
Yes, tunakupata. Uliza doc swali uko nayo.
Swali niko nayo, nilikuwa nauliza ikiwa mtoto amefika kiwango ya kutingika meno, hizo meno lazima zitangolewa zinaweza kungolewa na dento, ama lazima itingike ingolewe na mtu binafsi? Na hiyo meno inaweza ngolewa mbili pamoja, kama inatingika inaweza pelekwa kwa dentist azingoe pamoja mbili, ama lazima ingolewe moja kwanza igoje nyingine hata kama zinatingika zote?
Sawa. Asante sana Mushiri kutoka Thika. Asante sana for all. Haya. Daktari anajibu tu sahihi. Doc, we still have about 2 minutes to answer all these questions. Malizile Amiri, as well as get your final thoughts. Before he called, I was asking now the whole analysis of that medic on milk teeth kungoka ndio sasa zingine zime vizuri, as well as now for Mushiri's questions.
Yeah, so it's a myth really. I mean, these kids can be attended to. Kids with special needs, they need to have a proper review because remember, nutrition starts in the mouth. So if you're not comfortable in your mouth, then you're not even able to feed. So I'd advise she goes and sees a pediatric dentist. They're available in our public hospitals. Then she'll be able to get sorted. The baby can be seen under general anesthesia.
Right.
For the Mushiri from Thika, yes, sometimes these teeth, we encourage them to exfoliate naturally, but in some cases where you find the other tooth is growing from the back, it means then they are not aligned and it might not be able to push it out. So then it can have, they can go to the dentist and have them removed. You can remove 2, 3, depending on the clinical situation. So it is okay.
Right.
So now,
your final thoughts.
On my final thought, I would say that it is very important that we take care of our teeth, and especially babies' teeth, because it affects their quality of life. We need to watch their diet, make sure that they are not taking what we call cardiogenic diet, a lot of sugars and all that. And if they take, remember to always brush. Then the other issue is that people should always visit the dentist. Nowadays we have public hospitals that have dental departments. I head the dental department or the oral health division in Nairobi County, and we have our facilities that have top-notch facilities to attend to them.
Okay.
We actually have a we have the only pediatric dental hospital in East Africa at Lady Northey.
Okay.
All right, so they should go there and the services there are free.
Right.
And in Mama Lucy, we also have a very new dental and maxillofacial center where they should be able to get help with their dental issues. So they should make sure at least every twice a year you visit a dentist. Don't wait until when you have a problem. That is when you are going to seek help.
Asante sana. And as the words that Nairobians understand,
lazima iwak. And if anyone has any other question, they can just get me on my socials. On Facebook, it is PJ Muriuki, and also on Instagram is Dr. PJ Muriuki.
Right.
They can inbox. I know time was not adequate. They can inbox and I'll be able to answer their questions.
This conversation definitely continues on our digital platforms. Umepata hiyo yake. You can talk to him directly. Dental surgeon Dr. PJ Muriuki, asante sana for the wise words. Asante sana for all those who have called, akina Mushiri, akina Mary, akina Val, akina Peter, asante sana, and all those who have communicated to us on our digital platforms. This conversation, we put a pause here, and when we come back after this short break, we discuss matters fire safety. Kupale kwa nyumba, or even in the office, but then if a fire breaks out right now, wherever you are, do you know the first thing that you need to do? The whole fire drill, do you know? We'll be telling you all that. Jose Njuki coming up, don't go too far.
My name is Dr. George Washuri. I am here to present to you a wonderful place you can build a retirement home. Where else other than Ocean View Ridge, Vipingo by Optiven? This property is well manicured. We have a perimeter wall. We are doing a swimming pool. We just concluded a beautiful entry gate. Only 2 miles to the ocean. Do you want to retire in the coastal region? Call this number 0790 300 300. The best property ever.
Business yangu imeaffectwa na
na safari hii katika Mfahamu Kiongozi tutakuletea viongozi aina mbalimbali.
Nikuwe na Nisani kama 10 na pia nikuwe menua minibus. Minibus nikoniwa.
Kushinda unaangalia simu ya mzee. Soma Biblia ama ingia kwa washroom ujisugue. Mpaka nimetoa hivi.
I don't know whether any of my children would want to get into the political field. Sijajua bado.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30 kuendelea.
Join us on a journey through the concrete jungles and rising skylines, where every beam, every nail tells a story of progress and vision.
In every aspect of life, you have to look at several dynamics.
From groundbreaking.
Nowadays with the tech, you can check on different websites or you check online and you can see some inspiration. So at least that one would be a direction already. I'll know like what kind of style you're going for.
To finishing touches, witness the dedication of the hard-working teams who bring these ambitious dreams to reality. The Realtor, Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m.
Na safari hii katika Mfahamu Kiongozi tutakuletea viongozi aina mbalimbali.
nikuwe na nisani kama 10 na pia nikuwe menua minibus. Minibus nikoniwa.
Kushinda unaangalia simu ya mzee, soma Biblia ama ingia kwa washroom ujisugue mpaka nimetoa hivi.
I don't know whether any of my children would want to get into the political field. Sijajua bado.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30 kuendelea.
Join us on a journey through the concrete jungles and rising skylines, where every beam, every nail tells a story of progress and vision.
In every aspect of life, you know, you have to look at several dynamics.
From groundbreaking.
Nowadays with the tech, you can check on different websites or you check online and you can see some inspiration. So at least that one would be a direction already. I'll know like what kind of style you're going for.
To finishing touches, witness the dedication of the hard-working teams who bring these ambitious dreams to reality. The Realtor, Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m.
All right, welcome back. This is Morning Cafe. I'm yours truly, Stanley Nyaringiti. A very, very good morning to you. In case you're just joining us on Monday around 9 to 10, we do Matters First Aid, and I just tell you what you need to know concerning the whole safety around you. And today, as a whole, my background just looks like the whole fire. In case you're in a room right now, a whole enclosed room, and a fire breaks out, however small or quite huge it is, do you know the first thing that you need to know? To do and all that. And joining us for this conversation, he's not a new face, a whole pro on all these matters, fire extinguishers, Jose Njoki,
Yes.
a fire safety officer from, you can tell us where you're from. Africa Fire Mission and all that.
Africa Fire Mission.
Yes.
Yes, my name is Jose Njoki Ngonjiri. I'm a firefighter by profession, and also I'm a fire safety officer working with Africa Fire Mission.
All right.
Yes.
So, what's the first thing if I was in a room in my cabin sitter and I probably forgot the gas on and fire started? I'd probably gone to buy some 2 avocados, and then I come back and I find the whole apartment is burning up.
Oh.
Or rather, my house, the bed sitter just started burning up. What's the first thing that I need to do?
So it depends. If you're inside, the first thing you do, of course, reflex action just calls you to panic. So usually what we say is, do not panic. Yeah? And then if you do not panic, you will know what to do next. Yeah? I've always advocated for each and every household to have a fire extinguisher. Yeah? And there are different types of fire extinguishers which we handle in the other time that I was here. But then also, as soon as you find that there is fire, ask yourself, what is burning?
Okay.
Yeah. Is it electrical? Is it cooking liquid oil? What is it that is burning? Once you can be able to identify as quick as 3 seconds, you will know what extinguishing agent to use on that burning fire.
All right, and good thing we have about 3 fire extinguishers
Yes.
here. They are of different sizes. You'll be telling us how different they are really. And back at home, or wherever you are watching us from, you can always call us live 0795 045864. Be as audible as possible. Mute your TV, and or rather just switch it off and ask Jose all those questions you have regarding Matters Fire. You've probably experienced one, or you've probably seen one, firsthand, and you didn't really know what to do. or rather you're actually just preparing yourself, what do you need to do when, when it comes to the whole safety of a fire? 0793-267-279 is our WhatsApp number. So we started on that.
Correct.
And so you'll be taking us through, before we get into the whole fire extinguishers.
Yes.
You can walk us through the drill of, because Julia, when you're at home, is it different from when I'm in the office?
Yes, it's very different because home, I usually call home my relaxation place. Hapo ndio haitaki kelele. Yeah. So for me, home is a place that I relax. So what is recommended is you have 2 way outs, 2 exits. In fact, even before I get to the 2 exits, there is actually a drill in the home that is called, it's an acronym called EDITH, EDITH.
Okay.
Exit drills in the home. Yeah. You need to know, if I blindfold you now and you're in your home, for example, will you know where the back door is? Will you know where the front door is? Will you know where your kitchen is? If you're living in a bedsitter, that's a little bit different because it's either 1 exit and maybe 1 big window. Yeah. Another thing that I recommend, even as we do the drills in the home, your window that is actually taken to be the second way out, because most of the houses don't have a second, a back door. Yeah. They usually is just a window. So in that window of yours, you need to have at least, because of the thugs and everybody, people just put a lot of, they called grills.
Yeah, the grills.
They put grills, and there's really galvanized grills. But then it poses a danger to you as Stanley when you're actually inside and there's fire. And the door is actually compromised. Where shall you run away?
Plus, it's metallic. I mean, that's a whole other thing because...
That's a whole other thing. It gets hot.
Yes, it gets hot. Even when you want to even open it, you get burnt.
You get burnt. So drills in the home, I usually say it's mandatory. At least you do it once a month. Yeah, once a month. But then because of your children and everybody else, you just do it maybe once in 3 months because the children are in school and they're busy in class and things like that. So at least once in 3 months, you do a drill. Yeah.
Though
drill,
in most of these apartments, let's say in Nairobi, the whole high-rise apartments, it's a whole 5-6-story building. They rarely do this. I mean, it's one of those things that you're telling them right now, they're wondering. It's always everyone minds their own business as long as they come into the house and do all that. But then when fire breaks out in one of the houses, it obviously affects everyone in that apartment.
It's an unfortunate thing, Stanley, because it's a cultural thing. Yeah, we react. Yeah, as Kenyans, we love to react. Look at what is happening with the floods. We are reacting. So we need to be prepared. What if? We need to have that situation of what if. And as I say, because it's called a nucleus family, what does it mean? It is you, your wife, and your children. Yeah. If everybody else doesn't want to do it the nucleus way.
Okay.
Yeah. And then also number 2, even as you do the drill, you need to train your children or even the household, your house help and the shamba people and everybody else. When there's a fire, yes, we try fight it. Yeah, in its early stages, incipient stages. But then if it gets out of control, wachana nayo. Let it burn. And then we need to go and assemble in a certain place that we agree as a nucleus family. So if it is an apartment, it is actually a recommendation for your information. The building codes 2007, yeah, Fire Safety Act 2007. It actually tells us that we need to actually do drills, yeah, from home to the offices. Like in the offices, sometimes when you do drills, guys go like, oh man, I'm doing my reports. Dude, this is normal. Si sahi bana. Mbona tuite Sunday tufanye? But sale kuna chomeka, my friend. Yeah, it becomes another thing altogether.
So because, for example, someone is hearing you talk about a drill for the first time right now. Walk us through if you're the person who was leading that drill. And for example, because we've started in a house setup, in a house scenario, either be it private residence you know, a whole 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, or rather a whole apartment, and someone is there with a 1-bedroom, and it's a 5-story. Walk us through the drills. If you're the one leading, practically, what should they know of this drill? How the first step all the way to the last?
Okay. The first step that people should know is have the fire brigade number. Yeah, the Nairobi fire brigade number. Yeah, I've had lazima iwak. The Nairobi fire brigade number is, sorry.
So that's if you're living in Nairobi?
If you're living in Nairobi, yes. So if you're living in Nairobi, you have to have a fire brigade number. Even other places. Okay. Though right now, you can even call the 999 number, and then it will be diverted to your county.
Okay, all right.
That takes a little bit longer. So I need you to at least have your fire brigade number of your county. It kills the response time.
Okay.
Once you have the fire brigade number 2, if you're living in an apartment, do not use the elevator. Even though it is a 2-story building or a 3-story building, once you hear there's a drill or there's a real fire, you have heard that there's a car burning in the parking lot, do not use the
elevator.
The elevator.
Okay.
Number 3, only fight the fire when it's on its incipient stages.
What does that mean?
Don't fight the fire if it is extremely big.
Okay.
Yeah, even just call the fire brigade. You know? When you find that, hii moto iko umejaribu ku fight more than this container, and then you brought another container na imekataa, and the fire is building up. You've already called. Actually, what you need to do first, call the fire brigade, and then start fighting the fire. Yeah?
So, for example, because let's say a scenario where it's a 5-story building, and the number of people who reside here, it's probably a weekend, so that means there are more.
Everybody's at home.
Yeah, everybody's at home, so it's more than about 100 people.
Correct.
So someone has called the fire brigade. So the whole process of, and you've told us,
moving,
don't use the elevator.
Correct.
In case this apartment has it. So everyone has used the stairs and walked out and assembled somewhere.
So there's a process of walking out, and that's where I was going.
Yeah.
When there are some fire marshals who are fighting the fire, and most of the fire marshals are the security guards who are really already trained.
Yeah.
Guys leave their homes. If your house is knocked, that there is fire, usianze kusema hiyo ni hoax. No, you just get out, but do not run. Just walk fast. But then if you find people really scrumming outside, I usually tell people, get onto the wall, back on the wall, and then go down the stairs, okay? Until down, because you will be tripped. Yeah, you will be tripped. And then, what if you have an invalid and there's fire? Yeah, these are the things that in first aid we call lift and carry things. So there are other places that you can lift. You can either 2 people, they come sit on your arm, and then they hold you like this, and then now you go down the stairs. Pole pole, just slowly until the fire assembly point. It is not a point of saying, because I'm safe, now let me go to a mall and have tea. Ikiisha, I'll be back. No, you go to a primary assembly point. What is the main role of a primary assembly point in the fire drill? Is to do a head count. On first floor, house number A1, there are 5 people living in that house. Now, you, Stanley, as a dad, you need to tell us if all the 5 are accounted.
Accountable.
If they are not, bro, no going back. Somebody's inside there. No, it is not your job to go back. There's an incident in Mombasa another time. The lady went back for her 2-year-old baby. They didn't come out, both of them.
Wow.
Yeah. And did you know what? Smoke kills faster than fire itself.
Right.
Yeah, because smoke takes up the oxygen. And you remember the other time I was mentioning about smoke detectors?
Yeah.
You need to have a smoke detector in your home. They are readily available in the shops in Luthuli and in the market. You can actually get to purchase them as little as even 2K.
Right.
That 2K gadget put on top will recognize the smoldering fire. Ile moto tu kadogo ya
alafu ianze kulia titi.
Inalia mpaka, I have it even in right here, maybe we can check it later on. It gives a crazy noise. Even though you're drunk, bro, you'll wake up.
So now, because we've already mentioned the whole process of yoyote, the whole drill, I want us to now get into the fire extinguishers. And just a reminder, in case you're watching us, and you're watching us this morning, the number to call in live, 0795 0458 64. Jose will be answering all your questions pertaining the whole safety when it comes to fire outbreak. Imetokea, and you're wondering, what do I do? Because we have fire extinguishers, and you advised us at least kuwa na moja.
Kuwa na moja.
Kwa nyumba. So we have 3 here. Yeah. So the first one here is
powder extinguisher.
Powder fire extinguisher.
Yes.
And they have the whole process of even opening it.
Correct.
So this one is a CO2.
Carbon dioxide. Yes.
What do you have?
This is actually a powder.
Oh, it's
mostly in our homes and even in offices. Powder and CO2 is recommended.
Powder and CO2, both of them?
Both of them. If you cannot do both, just do one. At home, instead of having 2, I would say a carbon dioxide and a fire blanket.
Okay.
Yes, a fire blanket, it is used just to put onto a burning in your kitchen, to put on top of the burning stuff, and then it cuts off the oxygen.
All right. So if I don't have the fire blanket, can I just use the blanket that I have?
No. Yes and no. I would say yes, because if you do not have any other way, what do? You use what you have. Yeah. But then you need to put it in the water to actually let it not burn very fast and put it onto the flames. But you see now the risk of that. What if it is a cooking fire?
Okay.
I mean liquid oil.
Liquid oil.
Yeah, and it's hot, and then you put the water inside the liquid oil. It will explode. And in fact, when you put water into liquid, hot liquid cooking oil, it multiplies 1,700 times its quantity.
Wow.
So your whole house will be engulfed because of the steam that has already popped out.
Right. Now let's get into the extinguisher. So I can see the first step it tells me is pull out.
Pull out the pin. Actually, there are different parts of an extinguisher. Just to go quickly.
Please.
There's actually, what you're holding on, we call it the horn.
Okay.
Yeah, and why it is called the horn? Because the agent that is inside is actually compressed carbon dioxide.
Okay.
But then, when this carbon dioxide is, and we're going to actually experience it, when it's out, it gets out from here, it's extremely cold. Actually, it can burn your fingers.
For real?
That's why actually you're holding it with your hands like that. And then there is the nozzle that you get at least to aim the fire from a distance. And then there's a safety pin, handle, a trigger at the top and handle, and then the extinguisher itself.
Right.
For the CO2, the color code, the universal color code is black.
Okay.
Yeah. So sometimes you might not be red, but you might find the whole extinguisher black. So don't get afraid. Go like, hey, extinguisher kwani iko aje? No, it's just the color coding.
Right.
So when you get onto this particular fire, the fire is about a meter away.
A meter away. So
do not go as close to it. About a meter is okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So the first thing you do, of course, it is put on the wall.
Oh yes.
You lift it up, put it on the ground. If it is too heavy, like now it is very heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unaona uzito yake iko quite heavy, so you put it down. But then when you're putting it down, of course you remove the handle.
Yeah. It was tucked in here.
Yes, it was tucked in here. So of course you remove it.
Remove it. Okay.
And then you put it on the side. Now this is for CO2 is a clean agent.
Yeah.
Here powder, what you're going to do practically, don't do it at home with this powder. The whole house will actually be powdered. So you pull out the pin.
Okay, so I pull
you
that.
Drop it down.
Okay.
And then the fire is right there.
Mahali hapo katikati.
Yeah. But before you start fighting the fire, you test. You test the what? The extinguisher to see it's working. How do you test it? Just by the side. Hebu jaribu kufinya. Just
okay.
Umesikia hiyo noise? So it usually gives quite some noise. Mpaka mtu ana like it startles you, But then notice one thing.
The whitish.
That's just the compressed and it can really get cold.
It's quite cold.
Yeah. So after testing, now you what have you said? You pull out the pin, and then you aim. There's actually an acronym of that. PASS. Pull out the pin. Of course, you test it, and then you aim at the base of the fire.
So now, somewhere at the middle there.
Not the middle, right at the ground.
At the base. Ground, okay.
Yes, at the base where the fire is starting. You find people fighting the remnants. What are the remnants of fire? Smoke. Panic. Forget about it. Just aim at the base of the fire. And then there's a S. You squeeze the trigger. You see now you've already squeezed it to test it.
Okay.
And then after you squeeze this trigger, you actually sweep. You sweep the handle from left to right and right to left. Yeah? Like this. Shh. Just try.
So from
either. Yeah, either right to left or left to right. It does.
So do I press it?
Press it. Yes, I'm here.
Full?
Yeah.
All right.
So once you do that, do not do it so fast without stopping. Unaona tumefanya for like 3 seconds. You hit it and wait. You hit and wait.
So for how long?
Until the fire is extinguished.
No, like do I? Okay, I'll have to try again.
Please do.
So
that's one.
So okay.
And then the next repeat. You watch if the fire is out. Yeah, you watch if the fire is out. If it is not out, you hit it again at the base of without panicking. Yeah, and the reason for that is less is more. People think that when they use it more is when the fire is going to be extinguished. No. Remember, Stanley, we are fighting this fire on its incipients. Vile tu imeanza hivi, pap, ndo na start. Okay, not really pap vile imeanza hivi because actually you are...
There was the reaction time and all that.
Yes, you know. Lakini ukifind this whole room is on fire, forget. Listen, hata usitumie. Yeah.
And because let's say haitakuwa this one spot, inaweza kuwa let's say from one place all the way. It has stretched all the way. Do you now start one by one, hivyo pole pole, but do you go entirely?
Entirely, exactly. You do it entirely and then release. Entirely, release. Entirely, release. This is only used for like maybe 3 minutes. Out. That is why it is just for, it's actually called, extinguishers are used for first aid of fire. Yeah. Watu wengine wanasema, hizi extinguishers ifanyi kazi. No, of course haitafanya kazi kama moto ni kubwa. The fire engine itself is a fire extinguisher. It's a different type of fire extinguisher that holds about, others hold about 10,000 liters of water.
Right.
So isipofanya kazi, the fire brigade is already on the way. In fact, don't even panic. Sale fire brigade itakuja na umezima moto. They'll just shake your hand. They'll go like, I think you should put in your application.
Part of us, and particularly even for the house managers, the whole domestic workers, let's say the whole household, wataenda kazi or shule, and the house managers utabaki. What do they really need to know when it comes to? I mean, you've told us, you know, how they they use this, but then let's say they're in a house and they really want to use this, but then what do they wear at this time? Because I mean, there's a whole smoke around them. Should they be covering their noses? Tell us about that.
So when fighting fire, you really don't have to see what you're wearing, but then you have to be watchful of what you've worn. Yeah. Because if you're in a dera, for example, it is, or a shuka, is it a shuka or a leso? Sorry, I meant a leso.
A leso, okay.
So, kama inaning'inia, if it is just loose, it might catch fire. So you might want to put the whole dera or the
just tuck it in between
your legs and then fight the fire. It's really not necessary to actually put a mask because this is
it's reaction. So
reaction. You've not panicked. I actually train house managers on on house fires because apparently my burns that you see were it was about 44 years ago, you know, and a house manager left me in the house. So you can imagine house helps right now. The house belongs to them. So your job, your job, movies and all those things. But then the thing is, when you train them on how to use this, when you train them that they need to, when you're boiling water, stand by your boiling water. When you're cooking, stand by your cooking pan. Usikuwe tu unaenda watch, una cook, alafu unaenda watch TV 47 news. No. You're going to watch it on the other platforms. You first of all focus on the cooking. Alafu baadaye ukuje uone news.
So Jose tumeangalia ya CO2 but mtu anauliza yeye labda kako na hiyo ingine.
This is okay. Now, disclaimer. Why do I recommend this? This is very good for household items. If for example you're cooking alafu ikawaka kwa kitchen, you can heat it, the food, na kama ijashura sana, or shura, what is shura? Kuungua. Kama ijaungua sana, what do? You can even continue eating. Did you know that? Because actually, this is just carbon dioxide. It is actually the air that you're breathing out. So there's no effect. You'll continue eating and it's healthy.
Interesting.
You can take that to the bank. Now, that is what is recommended for the home. This is also recommended for the home. But then the danger of this is that number one, you will not be able to eat your food. And number two, your appliances, gone.
That's the powder one.
That's the powder. Gone. You know?
Do they work the same effect? Nikitumia hapa CO2 on this fire that we had here, as well as the powder. Is the effect the same on extinguishing this fire?
So the powder, what happens, it actually covers everything. Whatever is burning, ni kama the agent that is inside here, it's like unga. Yeah, it just covers it. It's like flour. It covers the whatever is burning. So it eliminates the oxygen, you know. Somewhat it reduces the heat. Yeah. So, but this one, it eliminates the oxygen outright. That is why it is not recommended for outdoor. Though when we are training you on how to use it, we train you outdoor, but then we'll extinguish the fire and then it will reignite. Why? Because oxygen has been introduced on that item that is burning. But in the house, over here, it's controlled oxygen, isn't it? So when I hit it, for it to reignite, it will take time. So powder extinguisher, yes, it is okay. I would say, I would use this powder extinguisher when in the parking lot. Yeah, you notice in our parking lot, I would say, there's this powder. Yeah. But then in our kitchen,
this one will be there.
Yes, it will be there. Haiwezi kosekana.
Someone watching, they're wondering, why is it that the CO2 has this horn while the powder doesn't have it?
Correct. So this horn is because of where, if it was just the nozzle itself, did we give the parts of the extinguisher? No, we didn't. If the nozzle, when you hold it like this, if it's on that, your fingers will not come out from there.
Because actually right now I can feel
the cold,
the temperature on this one. It's quite cold.
Yes, it's cold. So that's the reason for that horn. And also number two, it helps to distribute that agent at a longer. You saw how it's spread out. Yeah.
Do you need the horn for this, for the powder?
No, you don't need the horn. Actually, this one, it needs to be sharp, you see? More like a sharp nozzle.
Right.
Yeah. And then you aim still at the base of the fire, not very close. Because it's already, you notice, there's actually a gauge.
Oh, yes.
There's a gauge over here. It shows you that this is actually serviced. Yeah, it's actually serviced.
About 15 on the... What?
Yes.
So what does that mean?
It means it is on... it means that it's on its right place to meet. The pressure that has been put inside here is safe to you as the user. And number two, it is... it can extinguish the fire very fast without any issues
Now,
at a distance.
Okay. Now I'm curious because tulikuwa tumejaribu ya hii ya CO2 for the powder. Are we also able to
No, let's not do it. You'll turn white. Your suti yako ya bei yote ita turn white. For me, I don't have an issue because this is my work clothes.
So just imaginatively, even for someone who's watching, na pia mimi niki. So if I was to have it at this level,
correct,
will itarudi nyuma?
No.
Ama
ukishapatiana ikishasukuma iende kwa moto, if it pushes that agent that is inside onto the fire, of course after some time, because of the air movement around you, of course it will come to you.
Okay.
Yeah. So you really need to be very fast, and you know, that's why you hit it and then stop, because this one sometimes can be really a menace. You know, you hit it then leave, hiyo moto imeisha. Kama ijaisha, you hit it again. Na kama an example that the whole fire is here, you just
once.
Shh. Okay, I'm doing it casually, but then utakuwa pia you are a little bit afraid, so you might do it a little bit faster, because also you just have like 4 minutes max using this. Yeah, as I said again, and I've repeated it a million times, this is just for first aid of fire. But what if you get back? What if ulikuwa unafanya barbecue, you invited us for your promotion thingy, and then ushike moto?
Interesting bit, because now we're focusing on now extinguishing on the ground. But then now how about for someone who's getting burnt?
Exactly, because sometimes the danger of you getting so close to the fire, bro, is that it might back up on you. You know, it backs up on you and you have your good linen shirt, you'll be on fire, bro. Yeah.
So people around me, should they be using these extinguishers to try?
So you can either use this in a distance to extinguish somebody, but you need to, there's actually a way of extinguishing yourself. It's called stop, drop, and roll. Yeah? We don't learn this in school. Thanks to CBC now, children as little as, I'm invited in schools, so many schools, as early as PP2. We teach them stop, drop, and roll. Yeah? I don't know if you can be able to do it here. You stop.
How much space do you need?
Yeah, this is it.
So let me have this off for you.
Yeah.
So right now, for example, there's a fire on you right now.
Yes, there's fire on me right now.
Nikajaribu yangu, sitaki kukujuia baridi yake.
Nasikia baridi sana.
So I tried all that, but then it
didn't work.
Working. Yeah.
And if you do not have that, let's assume you do not have that, you will stop what you're doing.
Okay.
Yeah, of course you'll start screaming, Mom, Dad. Do people scream Dad? That's something for discussion.
Mama Mungu.
Mama or God. We forget our fathers. So you stop, and then you drop on the ground, flatter, and then you cover your face.
Right.
Yeah? Why do you cover your face? Because of the stones or the soil there. And then you roll from left to right and right to left. This is how you do it. You do it on the left. Is that left, right? Whatever, you just roll.
Okay.
You roll and roll. But then as I roll and roll, there's somebody else who has a piece of cloth, and they can actually be trying to remove the flames that are there. Or also they can have water. Doesn't matter what.
Water.
There's another place that another lady was getting burnt, and they were doing walikuwa wanapika chakula ya wedding. Wow, she was just, why? Sema mchele. Mchele alimwagia mchele yote. That's also an extinguishing agent, water. And she was saved, though she got a lot of burns on her hand. Yeah. But there's that. Yeah. Another thing that that is very important, Stanley, for us to mention for the home, even as we do on the drills, when you are exiting your home, usitoke kama unatembea straight. Don't leave when you're walking straight. Why? The smoke has already risen up. Yeah? Not so clean air, but clean air is on the ground.
In the ground.
So what do you need to do? You need to kneel down.
Okay.
And then with your forelimbs, just like how the children crawl, you crawl outside. Outside. Yeah? And when you're crawling outside, what did I say? You crawl outside. Not below the table, not below the cupboard, not in the washing machine, not in the laundry room. Where? Outside. Yeah, you go outside to the fire assembly point. And even as you do that, if you are alone, if you're alone, you get out.
Yeah.
But if you're with other people, inform them in the rooms. You know, sometimes people nowadays, you call somebody in their house, when you go watch, the guy's on headphones. Yeah, so you need to go and knock their room and then tell them, hey, there's a fire, let's get out. And when they are afraid, let them hold your shirt and not your trouser.
Okay.
Yeah, they hold your shirt and then you go calling them out. I'll demonstrate. So if I'll call your name and then you'll say, yes. Stanley.
Yes.
Stanley.
Yes.
Let's get out. Stanley.
Yes.
You call.
Okay.
The reason for me calling your name, even though I know your name, we've been living together for all our lives, is to know your level of how afraid you are, and also even alertness. Because nasema tuende, kumbe mazi ulisharizirai. Ulizirai huko nyuma.
Probably umefaint.
Umefaint, you're lost air, umepanic. Because there are some people who panic.
And they can't really talk.
Yeah, they can't talk. I train people on how to use an extinguisher. I am there with them. But man, anashekile ukweli mwako naambia, relax. I'm here. And you have to do, the person who's actually afraid is the person actually for you to train. You know, they want to do it and you have to assist them to actually get the fear out.
Right.
Yeah. So there's this crawling under smoke and there's now the stop, drop and roll. That is very vital for old people, children, and also house help to know how to use.
All right. And now because you have experience in all this extinguishing fires for quite a number of years, when you get into a building and there's the whole fire, can you ascertain at the moment what type of a fire it is and the cause of the fire, be it electrical, be it probably arson? Can you ascertain just by walking in?
Yes, as firefighters, we recommend when there's a fire, of course, you call the fire brigade, okay, of your county. But then, if you have already extinguished the fire, do not go and mendel the fire. Don't mess up with the, what do we call it, the evidence, you know, wachana nayo. Because if you mendel with the evidence, it will be very hard for us as the fire investigators to actually ascertain if was it electrical, was it an arson? Because you see now, for example, an arson attack, we'll go as far as checking even the window. Yeah? Maybe somebody threw a petrol bomb from outside into the house. So it will go and create a certain pattern. If it is an electrical fire, the socket, there's a pattern it gives, yeah, towards the ceiling. Yeah? But then if you go and start removing the copper wires on the wall, it will go, I'll go like, where? Yes, I'll say that it is an electrical fire, but it will give me a ton of time. So help us to make the investigation easier by not touching evidence.
The evidence. Yeah. How about extinguishing this fire? Is it for different types of fires? Is it the same way how you extinguish it?
Yes, it is the same. When you use the fire extinguisher, you just use the acronym PASS. Pull the pin, aim at the base of the fire, squeeze the trigger, and then sweep the nozzle at the base of the fire. It is the same technique in, let me say, all the fires. For example, like this powder extinguisher that I'm not recommending, if you do not mind your items getting messed up, you can actually get to use, if it's the only one, maybe in the parking lot, you grab it, bring it to the house, and then use it the same way. The beautiful thing about home fires is most of them are usually in the kitchen. If not in the kitchen, in the sitting room. You've noticed sometimes maybe you just have one multi-plug, or what we call, people call it the power strip.
Yeah.
You know, don't overload your power strip, you know, or your multi-plug.
Right.
If you overload it, there's going to be sparks, you know, and then guess what? The fire will start, and utaamshwa na moshi, and you don't want that.
For wengine wanajua ni extension too.
Any extension too.
Now, there's also, because you're saying there's the kitchen, there's a sitting room, as well as the bedroom. Let's say, for example, kunatumia pasi. Yes.
Yes.
How often does that happen?
Pasi, it's very interesting. About the year 2000, in Nairobi, Nyayo Estate, yeah, on a Sunday, there was a fire, and when the investigation came, they saw that the fire came from the bedroom. On further investigating, they saw that it is actually an iron box that caused that fire. You know, an iron box that caused that fire. So whenever you are doing something, however busy you are, even though it is a boss calling on your phone, yeah, if boss is calling, it's urgent, switch off the iron box, talk to the boss. If you're cooking and it's urgent, switch off the cooker, talk to boss. Yeah, and if boss can actually wait, you tell, hey boss, I can call you after 2 minutes. That is good and understanding boss. Yeah, so bedroom fires are usually iron box, our phones. Tuko na ile tabia ya tunaweka simu hapa na charger iko connected na iko just next to me hapa. Ndio nisikose kuamka.
Usikie alarm.
Bro.
How dangerous is that?
That one is extremely dangerous. Yeah, that is dangerous because you don't know the health of that particular charger of yours. Yeah. Kwanza zingine I've seen it. So many people hapo mbele imekatika, unaona mtu anaweka sellotape ama masking tape. Alafu iko karibu na duvet. And you know duvet iko na material ingine very interesting.
So again, even where you place, let's say the phone is also matters.
It does matter. Don't put your phone on the bed at any one point. Put it next to the kwa meza pale unafanya uko na hizo
the whole products of face and everything.
Yes, exactly. Put it there, let it charge.
Okay.
Yeah, but then never ever put your phone in on the bed.
How about on the ground, where the tiles and all that?
I wouldn't recommend that too, especially now that there are so many floods. You've seen it has affected everybody, the rich, the poor, the everybody. Yeah. So if you put it on the ground and there's electricity, just imagine what happens. And then unashuka kwenda to relieve yourself at night. Utachapwa shock. The ground there is already charged with electricity. Ukikanyaga hivi, we'll know you're home. Tutajua ushago kwenyu.
Right.
Yeah.
So now the fact that we've tackled home as well as office, the whole drills of that. There's one place that you don't really get enough of the drills, and this is your car. A fire erupts inside a car.
Yeah.
You're probably in there, probably even driving, or probably just it was co-parking lot, and you're there, and the doors are locked, probably for one reason or another. What do you do? Because in the car you don't have this. You don't have the extinguishers. You don't have enough to actually extinguish this fire. The space inside a car is quite minimal.
Compromised,
yes.
Yeah.
And you're really trying to, open the door and even break the window. What do you do in this scenario?
Wow, the car is usually a scary bit. Yeah, and we've responded to several fires on the expressway, on Thika Road. If you look at social media, cars burning. Always have a working extinguisher in your car. Do you know?
This
I bet
size?
no. There's actually a smaller one, 500 ml. I bet, sure bet, Stan. If we go to your car right now, you've not serviced your extinguisher.
I wish I had that car anyway.
Most of the people do not service the extinguisher. And here's a simple way of doing it. Because guys go like, no, your time, tutapata wapi. Now, when the extinguisher of your offices are being serviced, it is the time to actually go to your car, remove that extinguisher, equate part of the extinguishers that are going to be serviced. And then you get.
A quick one before we continue the whole car bit. Let's say you have this, I have it in the house, and I live alone, so I rarely use it. Does it expire, by the way?
Yeah, it does. The recommended time by law is actually 6 months service. After every 6 months, you need to service it. Yeah, it needs to. You see the reason for this gauge here, bro, is actually to tell if it falls on. If it's not on the green, doesn't matter the color in the middle. If this pin is not in the middle, it needs to be serviced. And after 6 months, it needs to go to be removed that powder and a new powder put back.
Oh, after every 6 months.
After every 6 months, because it cakes. What does it mean to cake? It becomes like inakuwa ngumu, hard. Even though it has compressed air here, but then when you want to use it, it doesn't use.
And how about for the CO2?
For the CO2, it doesn't have, because they are moving molecules inside, and you find it in a kama gas cylinder. For this one, you just test with the weight. If it is extremely light, unajua hapa, there's nothing.
Oh, all right. So here, haina tentative nini expiry.
After 6 months, I would suggest all of them need
all of them.
All of them need to go after 6 months,
right.
Even for the car. Yeah, for the car after 6 months, you need to use it. Yeah, should we go back to the...
Yes, now back to the car.
Yes, so the car, if the doors have jammed, unanaka ka headrest, the headrest in your car, remove it. There's a place that you can remove it. You've tried to bang, mekata, sunroof, jam. Just remove it. And then the edge, one edge of the, by the way, it is meant for that, for your information. People don't know. The edge of that headrest, unachapa window, at the edge. At the edge of the window. Just hit it. Bah! But of course, you hit it when you're facing like this, away from, so that you don't get things jumping on your eyes.
The shattered glass on your face.
Shattered glass on your eyes. And then now, of course, you come out fast. Okay, this is where the selfishness comes as human beings. You come out fast.
Oh, so this is a scenario where you are not alone.
When you're not alone.
Okay,
you come out fast and then you save the rest. Don't save the rest.
Okay.
Save yourself first. Yeah, because you came alone first, isn't it? And then you came and knew me as a buddy. Yeah, come out, and then now get the rest outside. Now, if you have an extinguisher, and this is another scenario, if the doors can open, you go to the boot, remove the extinguisher, and then try as fast as you can, from a distance, safe distance, to actually spray that extinguisher to the fire itself. But then you already called the
fire brigade. And because you've extinguished quite a number of these car fires, what's the most common cause?
Wow, there are several causes. Number one, you might find leaking fuel. People not taking their car. Gari yako inakuonesha all the 17 lights on the dashboard, but unasema na hii economy.
Itafika tu.
Itafika tu. Yes, itafika lakini sisi ndio tutakufikisha. You know? So fuel, you find electrical faults. You find that you're using bad batteries. You know, every time when you say, can you? Najua una watu wanaombaga mtu wa kufast charge wanakwaga na red and black on the road. Every time it's ni William say. So don't do that. Just have your battery changed. So battery issues, you might find hot wheels. You know, you've really driven from Mombasa to Nairobi non-stop. You didn't even have a stopover at Kikope or something to have something for at least to rest your mind.
And also to have the car to
cool off. In fact, the main aim for you to rest, of course, is to rest your back, but then also to make the car cool down.
Right.
Yeah. So cool down. So that's the hot wheels. There's the electrical and there's the fuel.
Right.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Help us with your final tips. Your words of advice for someone who's just a summary of what you've been telling us.
Yeah.
The whole safety when it comes to fires around where we are.
Yeah. For me, words of advice is do not panic. Just get to know what is burning. Yeah. And in the house, try and avoid using every cause of fire is not water. You know, just think of other ways of you can get to extinguish the fire. Because you can use water on electricity, it gets onto you. That's tip number 1. Tip number 2, stop, drop, and roll if you're on fire. Number 3, crawl under smoke. And number 4, bro, leo, endo kaeke fire brigade number hapo hivyo 020 22 22 181. That's the fire brigade number for Nairobi.
Right, right. And if you're listening to this and uko mahali a whole high-rise apartment, ambia caretaker you need a drill on all this. And all that. And because it has been a very hot conversation, lazima tumalizie na hii. Asante sana Jose.
Yes, brother.
Asante sana.
Thanks for having me.
Oh yes, from Africa.
Fire
Mission. Asante sana. And asante sana to everyone who has stick around. Oh yes. All right. And asante sana to all the director na niambia nimalizie na hiki.
Umalizie na
asante sana.
Chapa mahali hapa mpaka to disappear.
Asante sana to all those who have tuned in, to all the callers we've had, to all those who have interacted